In a world where Carolina Panthers fans have an insatiable thirst for Panthers news and opinions, only one podcast roars ferociously. It's the C3 Panthers Podcast.
Yo, what's the deal, Panther fans? It's your boy, the Professor, a.k.a. Tony Dunn. It's the C3 Panthers Podcast. I think this is like episode 38-ish of the season so far. We start the week after the Super Bowl. Every season is our new season. It's our 8th season now. It's a lot of episodes going into tonight. And tonight's episode is Panthers streaking through the woods with the Bears. The Panthers are on a win streak. 3 straight wins. We moved to 3-2. We're competing for the division. There's a lot to talk about when it comes to the Carolina Panthers. We got a great show for you tonight, so smack that thumbs up button. Go ahead, smack it. Give us a thumbs up, subscribe to the podcast, and let's welcome in my buddy, my pal, Cody Lashney, my co-host. Welcome to the back for another episode. We're rocking and rolling, brother.
Tony Dunn, man. What's up? It's another Tuesday night. The Panthers are rolling right now, man. We have a lot of questions about this football team, whether we are legit or not, but we're going to have this discussion with the best Panther fans in all of YouTube, in our chat, the most lit Panther fans that there are. Humble, No Flip, BJ, One Way, Trail One, Underground West, Blake Betts, Joe Riolano, a.k.a. Low Country Cannabis, Tony Dunn. Ain't nothing to it but to do it, brother. Let's roll.
All right. The number's 252-228-5098. Be a part of the show. Call in. You can find the C3 Panthers podcast on all your major podcast platforms. Also, check out the YouTube channel. Dropped a little video. It's just playing around with some different formatted stuff. And this one is Curtis Samuel, Mr. Clutch. You can find that on the C3 Panthers podcast YouTube page. I'd also like to welcome back my pal, the Bat Daddy, the Stat Daddy, the man of many podcasts. Greg, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing awesome, man. 3rd day off in a row. Got to go back to work tomorrow. Not looking forward to that. But favorite night of the week, Tuesday nights, get to talk about the Panthers football. I'm going to try to be Mr. Positive tonight and hold my thoughts until later in the season and see what happens. So let's see how well I can contain myself.
Well, I mean, be Mr. Positive. That's a good thing to be. It always brings to mind. First, I have this friend who's got a radio show at Tweeting Clip. He's on Pirate Radio live every day. He's like the man on Pirate Radio. And he was so negative, and he was so bummed because the Pirates hadn't won in like 3 years. And people were saying he was being too negative about the future. And what they ultimately, he became Mr. Optimistic. He was like the tweeting optimist, and it was very odd. So you could do that. Or the other thing that comes to mind is a good Otis Redding song. And they call me Mr. Pitiful. Right, so you could be Mr. Negative or Mr. Optimist. Greg, thanks for coming back on. All right, let's jump into the show tonight. We've got, actually, before we get in the show, Zach Pearson with the Bear Report Radio podcast will be on around 9:20 tonight. So in about 15 minutes, we'll welcome in Zach Pearson, who's part of the Overtime Network and covers the Bears, and we're going to see what we're going to be facing this week because the Panthers, as they put the smackdown on the Atlanta Falcons, at the same time, we are going into 3 wins, but our opponent is 4-1. The Bears are kind of hot with Nick Foles, so we got to see what we're going to be facing with them. So now we're a couple of days removed from the game. Where's your headspace right now, Cody Lashney? What is on your mind when it comes to the Carolina Panthers?
I mean, right now I'm thinking, how good can this team actually be? It's one of the things that I've been thinking about around this time of year, every year, right around that 4th, 5th, maybe 6th week of the season. The past 2 years, we've looked at this record, and it's been very similar, around that 3 wins, 2 loss kind of thing. And just knowing how the last 2 seasons went, but also knowing how much is different with this football team right now, brand new quarterback, brand new set of coaches, receivers that are playing like they haven't in a very long time, but also a very young defense filled with potential, but also with a bunch of young players that we're having to lean on. And you can tell when we're having to lean on those young players that don't have that wealth of knowledge to necessarily know what's coming when you're playing the smarter quarterback. So basically, I'm wanting these Panther fans in our YouTube and both of you guys to help me in giving me your opinions. Like, is this a legitimate Carolina Panthers team, or are we just waiting to have the carpet pulled out from under our feet again? I don't know. That's what's on my mind.
Yeah. Well, I'd be willing to make another prop bet, and right now, honestly, it looks like I'm going to win every bet that I made this year. But I'd be willing to make another prop bet that the Carolina Panthers will pick between the 10th and the 14th pick next year in the NFL draft. Anybody want to take me on that?
That's a gut punch.
And that's before a trade. Like, we can't, like, so they get that, if they're rewarded that and they make a trade, it doesn't count. So I'd be willing to put $5 down, saying between the 10th and the 14th pick of the Carolina Panthers.
That's like you could be like an odds maker with that type of, you know what I'm saying? If you think about it, is that it's like, man, if you would have said 10 to like the 14 is like, is that too?
Right. Well, if I say 15, then people are gonna be like, "Oh, what's 5 picks? That's too big of a range." So 14.
No, I mean, if you're betting that they're gonna pick those, so we get all the other numbers, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
So in many ways, is that like you shortening the window is giving us, the book is you're the book, and it makes it harder on you. Right. So even if you did it to 15 picks. Then I'm starting to go, all right, I don't know. You know, I'm sitting here thinking about this, is 14. Are we going to be in the 14 range? I don't know. I mean, we could be like pick 17 or 16 or 15. I know it's a good line. That's what I'm trying to say. It's a good line.
Yeah, if you're a 7-win team, you're going to be about in the 10th to 14th pick, I feel. That's generally the way it works. About 6 or 7-win teams usually are in that range, based on the way the season goes.
So basically, to echo Joe Riolando in the chat, that means you're predicting that this isn't going to last. This is kind of...
I've been predicting that all year. Yes.
No, he's actually saying this is going to go exactly the way it is, to be honest.
Well, like I said, remember...
I mean, y'all don't really think we're going to finish. So we're at 5. We're at 5 games, right? So that would put us at 9 wins if we stayed at this pace.
Mm-hmm. Which is not far off from about 7 wins. Which is where I'm kind of
I don't think 7 is falling apart. I think 7 is a really good season for this team.
Let me ask you this. Beating this Bears team, if we beat the Bears, does that tell you any more about this football team?
It's a good question, because the Bears are annoying ass team. All right.
They're a good
They're
defense.
So annoying is because they're not good. But they are
better off the bench.
Well, you also got to look at the Bears. They're 4-1 this year. 2 of the games they played, and I know we don't want to go back and say this. We were talking about the Panthers like this last week. We don't go back and say this, but 2 of the games they played, they probably should have lost. They should have lost that Atlanta game. I can't remember the other one they played. They won. They should have lost that game. Like they're very.
The Bears, the Lions game,
the Saints.
The Lions game.
Saints? No, they beat
the
the
Lions
Saints, right?
game. Remember, DeAndre Swift drops the easiest touchdown. In the end zone. That would have put it away.
Like Cody says, the nuts and knuckles comment, it's great, but you do got to take that in consideration. So they're 4-1, but are they really Are they really a top, like a second place team in the NFL right now?
Yeah, they're not like a scary 4-1 team, but at the same time, they are 4-1. Mm-hmm. Nick Foles has made them better. Foles is a streaky quarterback. Like, he's not great, man, but when he starts feeling it, he's feeling it. And to be honest, he's feeling it right now. Yeah. He did pretty well in the Atlanta game. He did very well.
They should have lost that Atlanta game.
Yeah, but they should have lost it because
15 down with no time left. I mean, they should.
Yeah, but that's the point. Is Foles was part of that comeback. They benched Trubisky in the first half, and then it was the Indy game. Now that is their loss, Indianapolis, and it was the defense that held Chicago's offense. But then the Bears win against Tampa. Now, it was a home game, but I don't count home as mattering in COVID world. They host Tom Brady. They're down 10-0. And then they come back and they're down 17-12 or 19-12, 19-13. They win 2019, right? Nick Foles is part of that, right? So he is kind of on the hot streak right now. He was throwing these really pretty balls, these timing balls, these kind of lucky ones at the same time. So while they aren't the most, I've been saying they're not good. They're not good. They've won 4 games. And so I can't say they're not good and then come on this podcast and be like, this Panthers team's won 3 in a row and we're really good. So is that I think that they're probably not as good a 4-1 record, and we're a 3-2, could it be 2-3 type team, right?
Could
And
be
you know, I mean, it could be
4-1.
yeah,
4-1,
exactly.
Yeah, it's very
But-
possible, yeah.
But you know how the Chargers right now, like, they have lost every game in like heartbreaking fashion, and they could just as easily be 4-1 as they are 1-4. The Bears, in my mind, are the Chargers with way better luck. Like, I think they're built very similar.
Possible,
They have like Joe Riolano in the chat points out, they have a good defense and they have Khalil Mack. And I actually we're gonna have a guest tonight, and I actually did a spot on their Bears podcast. One of the things I was talking about with them is I'm interested to see Khalil Mack on Taylor Moton, because I'm a part of the Panther fans who believe that if we have any legitimate shot of ever being a continuously contending football team, your offensive line is important. And I believe Taylor Moton is our best offensive lineman. And if he has a good game against Khalil Mack, man, you have got to go out of your way to make sure you sign Taylor Moton, especially if Khalil Mack is one of the best pass rushers in the game. And if he has a good game, I think you have to reward that.
Mm-hmm.
I have a question to qualify your original question, Cody. Is you asked ultimately, are the Panthers for real, right? I mean, that's the question. What would constitute for real in your mind? Like, what does that mean? Because like there's other ways that I think of this team as like better than I expected, getting better week to week. Contenders in a lot of their games, even if if we don't feel the talent is the same or the experience is the same. So it's kind of like a steady plow ahead, just a yard at a time for this team. But what do you constitute as for real? Like what
are
what
we?
do you,
Okay, so let's actually start here. Are we a legitimate contender to win the NFC South?
Well, yes, right now.
I don't think so, but we're
Why?
at the quarter
Did you
mark.
see the New Orleans Saints? They suck.
You're
Drew
right,
Brees
because I
is-
predict they're going to fall apart. But where they're at right now, they are definitely a contender. We're tied for first place in the NFC South. Well, we're actually half a game back in the first place for the NFC
My
South.
only thing with New Orleans is they're one really bad night away from putting Jameis Winston in. And say what you want about Jameis, he has a
Man,
live
they're gonna
arm.
put in Taysom Hill. They ain't gonna put in
Either
no
way,
Jameis.
Either way,
And
they both have
is
a better arm than Drew.
Teddy is like white Drew Brees.
No.
Black Drew Brees. Sorry.
Hey.
Vice versa. Is that like Teddy Bridgewater?
I got what you mean. I would say-
Is that what's interesting about this is that I really see you can see the deterioration
of his
of
arm.
Breeze's arm. Like you can
Oh, yeah,
totally see
100%.
it.
It's real.
100%.
It's real.
But
Hey,
the type of games that they're throwing, like the passing styles, are the same.
Yeah. I got 2 things to point out in the chat room. 1, 29 people watching, 19 thumbs up from what I see. So hit the thumbs up or thumbs down, whichever you want to. Let us know how you feel. 2, Panthers 2020 in the chat room says, I'm out of here. Can't stand these downers anymore. What the hell have we said bad about the Panthers so far?
I
Like,
know.
what have we done
I feel
bad?
like all we've
what
said
it sounds
is
like
that
to me. What it sounds
we're
what it sounds like
more-
to me is good.
I was just gonna say we're more happy than That's what I keep saying is I'm in a better space than I thought I would be right now.
Yeah, me too. Every time we think
Yeah,
that we're being
exactly.
good sports, that was like, oh, you guys are fucking downers. Listen, I think it's because you said that the Panthers are going to be picking anywhere between 10 and 14, maybe.
Oh my gosh!
I think that's like, look, first of all, we picked 8 last year. We picked 8th last year. So that means we're going to be significantly better.
And Panthers 2020. I want to say this real quick. If you are that butthurt about somebody having a different opinion than you, then get off the podcast. Go change your tampon. Seriously. I mean, seriously. People are allowed to have a different opinion than you, and your opinion is not always right, guy.
And how about
the note? Tampons go in the vagina, not the butt.
Go ahead and get out of here.
And by the way, how about this? I think
you're trying to get drunk.
To add on to what Greg is saying, like that's why I'm putting these questions out there, because if Greg is indeed right, I hate this season no matter what. Like if we're a middle of the pack football team, and Tony can back me up on this, I've been saying that from jump, that if this is another 8-8, 7-9 football team that just misses out on the playoffs, then it wasn't worth it in a rebuild year. And I maintain that opinion. However, me asking these questions right now, like I'm trying to be a good sport and have my mind changed. I'm trying to be like, well, is this a legitimate football team? Because right now, the formula that we have going on, it does seem to be working. Our playmakers are making plays, getting the ball to them in space, let them get yards after catch. Teddy Bridgewater's operating the offense in rhythm. Our defensive players are finally starting to play with some gusto and some charisma. The young talent is starting to show up. We still have some issues, and we're by no means a perfect football team. But like, man, I'm trying now to find some reason to believe that we are a better than average football team. So yeah, I don't understand the negativity.
I don't either. And here's my thing too: is with my position and my thinking, I feel like I'm looking realistically at things, but I'm willing to be wrong. And even if I'm wrong about the way the season turns out, guess what? I still win because the Panthers had a decent season. If we win 7, 8, 9 games,
pay you
and I'm
money.
wrong,
I gotta pay you money.
I still win either way, so it doesn't really matter. Like it's so dumb. But yeah.
All right, I want to. We've got our guest Zach Pearson coming on the show from the Bear Report podcast shortly, about 2 or 3 minutes from now. Let's talk about this. Is that looking back at some of the Panthers games this year so far, and specifically one that was highlighted this was this Falcons game, is the Panthers have been salting away these victories and these games, just period. Is that we talk about, you always expect these college coaches to jump in here and want more and more and more faster offenses. At least that's the Chip Kelly kind of mindset that we associate with college coaches. The Panthers have been dominating time of possession. And I think this says a little bit about a lot about our personnel and our scheme and some of the things that we think we can do well, and possibly some of the reasons we're doing very well. Is the Panthers have won time of possession in 3 out of 5 games so far. The 2 games that they did not win the time of possession, one they lost, one they did, and they won. And both of those were very close. So if you really broke down the numbers, the Panthers have been owning the time of possession battle, and specifically in the Atlanta Falcons game, 3 7-minute drives. And one of the reasons that Teddy Bridgewater did not put up a ton of stats in the second half was because of those long drives and Mike Davis salting away. So I just want to make that observation, is that, and we'll get back to that a little bit, is how important time of possession is and what that relates to our defense specifically, because keeping that defense fresh, I think we've seen how it's helping these guys continue to attack and get better. So we'll revisit that a little bit later in the show. Right now, I'd like to welcome in Zach Pearson with the Bear Report radio podcast, part of the Overtime Network. Zach, welcome to the C3 Panthers podcast.
Hey, how's it going, guys? Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, glad to have you on. And the Panthers will be, or we're hosting the Bears this week, right? It's a home game for us. Is that right?
Yeah, the Bears are on the road this
Okay.
week. Yep.
Yeah.
So the 3-2 Panthers, coming off of 3 straight wins, will be hosting the Bears, who are 4-1 currently. And despite my efforts to say that they're the best bad team or a best team, I don't know how I've been saying it for the last 4 weeks. I've doubted, I've hated, and at the same time they keep winning. So tell me what's going on with these Bears and why they're actually good right now. Or how
Yeah,
they're
man.
good.
New season, pretty much same story. Defense carrying them, offense is kind of going along with the flow. I mean, it's pretty much been their defense and a couple crazy, fourth quarter, second half comebacks. They came back and from double digits against Detroit in week 1. That was when Mitchell Trubisky was a starter. They came back or held off a Giants team, came back against Atlanta in week 3 with Nick Foles. And then, just pretty much outplayed the Buccaneers last week. I mean, they started off slow, and then the defense ramped up the pressure. Tom Brady looked like he wanted nothing to do with Khalil Mack by the time that game was done. And, that was probably their best performance as a whole. But, it's just, you ask any Bears fan, it's been the same thing every year. Defense is really good and still trying to find a quarterback after all these years to run an offense.
How is Nick Foles coming in there? Is that this guy, I don't know what to think of him, is he can't win the starting job wherever he goes. He makes lots of money in the process, but every time he comes in the game, the teams get better. How much better is the offense with Nick Foles right now?
Yeah, I mean, it's still a little early to kind of fully see that. This was actually his 4th day of practice as the starter because they had that short week last week. So it's tough to say early on. Mitchell Trubisky wasn't playing awful. He just wasn't doing enough to keep the job. And I think, the Bears, when they acquired Foles, I think this weird COVID offseason with no practices at all until end of July actually hurt Foles the most. But I said, if you go into this season, you're better off having Mitch Trubisky be your starter and being able to go to Nick Foles in the middle of the year than the other way around. I think that was the best way to handle it. Now, everyone expects the offense to run a lot smoother because Foles does have more experience in this offense. However, against the Colts, they looked really bad. And then, against the Buccaneers, he was pretty much what he is. He's a streaky quarterback. I mean, he's going to be bad for times. He's going to be really good for times. So you kind of have to live and die with how he plays.
Yeah.
Zach, well, go ahead, Greg. I'll let you go and then I'll go after you.
Okay, well, I was going to say, adding on to that, I once described Sam Bradford as the stripper of quarterbacks, which basically he's going to show you everything you want, and as soon as you get your money, you're going to be disappointed. I feel like it's a very strange situation in Chicago because I feel like you have 2 of those in Chicago with Nick Foles and Mitch Trubisky. So as a Bears fan, who would you, if you had to pick one right now
to get a lap dance from?
Who would you pick? Who are you getting the lap dance from? Nick Foles or Mitch Trubisky?
For the rest of the year, if the Bears want to be a contender and a legit threat in the NFC, it would have to be Foles. I mean, I just think, you have to go with the veteran that's shown. I mean, he's won a Super Bowl. He's been a Super Bowl MVP. He's also been pretty bad at times as well. So I would rather take that experience. Mitch Trubisky is just still you're just waiting for that potential to come out.
He's a North Carolina quarterback. What were y'all thinking? North Carolina quarterback.
He looks good in a football uniform.
He's not a point
That's
guard.
What my
he's
friend
a North Carolina
always
quarterback. Exactly.
Is that you gotta be careful about those guys. They look good in the outfit.
Yeah.
Blake Bortles was another one of those. Is they they check all the boxes.
Yeah, and I watched a lot of UNC games, and Larry Fitz' offense was not very good either. So it's it was kind of just what are they doing? But it's funny you bring that up with the North Carolina thing because I'll tweet out sometimes on Saturdays when I'm watching a bunch of games, and everyone loves talking about Trevor Lawrence and Justin Fields and Trey Lance, rightfully so, great guys. But looking ahead to 2022, I'm like, man, this kid Sam Howell he looks legit, and everyone's like, nope, we're not drafting another North Carolina quarterback. I'm like, yeah, but I mean, you look at it, it's different offense, different system.
Yeah.
Bears fans just have bad PTSD.
And Zach, if I may jump in here, I work for drafttech.com. So part of what I do a little bit is analyzing college quarterbacks. Also, the real difference is by that point, Sam Howell will have had 3 years at UNC as opposed to only one mediocre year from Mitch Trubisky, and he was on the team the previous 2 years. Couldn't win the starting job even when they went to the ACC championship in 2015. So very different. You can't ever judge a player based on the helmet. It's a rule. You don't do it. But to kind of piggyback off of that into my question, we've been doing this thing, having gone from Cam Newton to Teddy Bridgewater. We're wondering, do we have a franchise quarterback? Right now, the numbers for Teddy are really good. The touchdowns aren't very high, but he operates this offense to effectiveness and in rhythm. He does what he needs to do, and he takes care of the football. That is a recipe to win football games. Do you have a similar kind of recipe with Chicago? Do you have the kind of defense and the kind of offense that, regardless of if it's Nick or Mitch, do you have the team around them where all they have to do is just not mess up too bad, and you have a legitimate contending football team? Is that the case for the Bears?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, that's been the case for the Bears since 1990, essentially. I mean, we've always had really good defenses, and the exact same thing's happening this year. This defense, I mean, I'll just put it like this way. There are Bears fans that are complaining about this defense right now, and they're pretty much top 10 in every major stat except for rushing yards allowed. Rightfully so, because they lost Eddie Goldman, who was a big chunk of what they did up front. However, they're number one in like third down defense. They're number I think 1 or 2 in red zone defense. And there's still fans out there that are just upset that they're not, top 3 in everything. So to your point, I mean, that's how Chicago's going to win games. They're going to send Khalil Mack, Robert Quinn after you. They're going to hope that their secondary holds up. Eddie Jackson, Kyle Fuller, and Jalen Johnson. And they're just going to hope that essentially they don't turn the ball over and Nick Foles doesn't make a brutal mistake in a key moment. And you look at that 2018 team, they were so good at forcing takeaways, like 38 takeaways they had that year, just dominant. And not only forcing takeaways, but turning those into points with the defense. I mean, Eddie Jackson, I think, had 2 or 3 touchdowns alone. You look at 2019, what really went wrong, their defense last year was still really good. They went 8-8. But you had Mitchell Trubisky making key mistakes in almost every loss that they had. They were up on the Chargers by 2 scores like 13 points. And for whatever reason, Matt Nagy, with like 6 minutes left, turned to Trubisky and let him throw the ball. He threw an interception, then fumbled the ball in back-to-back drives. And they lost. So, I mean, it's to your point, that's what it is. It's defense really strong. Don't make the brutal turnovers.
Yeah.
Right.
Humble flipping fool in the chat actually seconds that. He said it's alarming they're top 3 in red zone and third down defense in the league. That is if you want to be in defensive stats in the tops of anything, so those are 2 that you want right there. That's amazing.
Sounds good. My question about what was it is, what do you guys think? You mentioned Nagy passing it in that Chargers game. Didn't he come out and throw it twice? Was it the Bucs game just this past Thursday night where you guys are up by a point and he comes out and throws it on first and second down? Wasn't that the Bears game?
It might have been. He's done similar things like that where he can't get the run game going and he'll abandon it and just start throwing.
But you need to wind clock down. You're up. You are not going to get. You have the opportunity. I'm pretty sure it was the Bears game I was watching. I was just like, why are you guys not just running the ball right now? And he threw it on first and second down, and then he doubled down on it.
He's done that. Yeah, it's just that's been his biggest weakness is, going away from the run. And to use the Chargers game as an example, I think they had 12 carries in that game total, and you just can't do that in the NFL. I mean, you got to put up points. You got to be able to run the football as well. He goes away from the run too much, and similar story this year. Now he's saying the same stuff. Like, I gotta go. I gotta stay with the run. We gotta be a good football team running the football, and it's just been a little frustrating. Now, granted, I mean, Indianapolis and Tampa Bay are 2 of the better front sevens that you'll face all year, and they did find success running the football in the first 3 games. Averaging over 130 yards per game, not carry. Geez, that'd be crazy record. He just sometimes I think he gets into his head a little bit. Now I'll give you this example. I believe it was against the Colts. It was 3rd and 2 late in the game. They were trailing. They needed to pick up the first down. And he has Cordell Patterson back there, no fullback. The Bears don't even have a true fullback on the roster. And he runs an inside zone, and it's stuffed. It was pretty much the same play he ran week 1, 2019 against the Packers. Same situation. Cordell Patterson, everyone knew it was coming, stuffed. So I think he just gets kind of into his own head too much.
Right.
Let me ask you a question about one of my favorite players, Eddie Jackson. Eddie Jackson, listen, I still have nightmares. I think it was in 2017 when the Bears and the Panthers played, and both offenses for the Bears and the Panthers were just absolutely putrid on that day. But, dude, Eddie Jackson made our lives a living hell. And one of the things that I'm concerned about going into this game is in the times that we do have to throw the football, if they are able to stop the run, which the Panthers have been doing a good job running the football even without McCaffrey. If they are able to stop the run on passing downs, is it going to get the Jackson and the Bears secondary time to feast? What do you think the key to stopping Carolina's offense specifically is going to be?
Yeah, I would say stopping the run would be a top priority. And, the Bears have really just kind of failed to do that so far this year. However, I mean, they're going to have to get pressure on Teddy Bridgewater. I'm sorry, I want to say Nick Foles there, but they're going to have to get pressure on Teddy Bridgewater. And from what I've seen so far from the Panthers, I think they do a great job, especially with their protections, not only on that play, but protecting it to the routes as well. So when they give him enough time, Bridgewater, that there's protection, and when the routes are done, he can get the ball there. And they're getting the ball out quick, and they're protecting him on the edges and move him around in the pocket. I think the Bears are going to have to rely on Khalil Mack and rely on Robert Quinn to get pressure on Teddy Bridgewater, because if they don't, I mean, last year the Bears played the Saints, and Bridgewater was the quarterback. He picked them apart essentially when he had time to throw, and he looked really good during that game. And for the most part, I thought Bridgewater didn't look good at all last season. This year, it looks like a different story. It looks like he looks a lot better. I would say they're going to try stopping the run first and foremost, and they're going to try getting pressure and just let their secondary do their thing. And, I mean, you're right. Eddie Jackson is – how he fell, I mean, he had that injury, the leg injury. Yeah. How he fell to the fourth round, I mean, that's a first-round talent, and they're very lucky to have him.
Couple of follow-ups on that. First, shout-out to Robbie Switzer for the super chat. He said, we're second to last in third down defense, referring to the Carolina Panthers. And also, I know you guys have had some question marks at the running back position. If you are interested, Le'Veon Bell was just released. Yeah. That's breaking news, and thanks for K. Francis pointing that out in the chat room. And while we're on the defensive side of the ball, talk about Jalen Johnson, who some people are saying is a defensive rookie of the year candidate, and we believe we have one on our hands with Jeremy Chin. So tell us a little about Jalen Johnson.
Yeah, Jalen is just – I mean, they always say that the game takes a little bit to slow down for rookies. There's some exceptions to that. You look at like Patrick Mahomes. I don't think the game it didn't take long for it to slow down from him. And I'm not comparing Jalen Johnson to a talent like Patrick Mahomes, but it's just he looks so comfortable out there. He's gone up against some of the better wide receivers in this league so far. He was matched up against T.Y. Hilton, Mike Evans. He's gone up against a couple other guys. I'm drawing blanks now, but Calvin Ridley. And he's pretty much held his own. I mean, he gave up the touchdown to Mike Evans. He was actually a really good coverage on the slant route on Evans. It's just Evans had the bigger body and got the inside leverage. So he's been fantastic this year. And he loves his style of play, press and being aggressive, fits perfect with the Bears. He's got like this swagger that like this Bears defense just already has, and he just fits right into that. He's a steal. I mean, he is probably – up there. And I know you guys talk about Jeremy Chin at Southern Illinois. And I got to see Jeremy Chin play a lot, actually. While I'm living in Illinois, I got to see him a little bit. But, yeah, I think those two are probably two of the better defensive rookies this year. And I think Jalen is going to continue to get better and better. And it's kind of crazy because everyone wants to focus on Jalen Johnson, and rightfully so. Kyle Fuller's playing like a top 3 corner right now as well. So they have a really good duo back there, locking down that secondary, and that makes Eddie Jackson's job a lot easier as well.
That's three, like 2 elite players and a budding elite player potentially. Yeah. That's scary news right there. So the defense is the strength on that team. Tell us right now where you're sitting at injury-wise going into this week on the defense, and then turn to the offense and tell us, are there any injuries on that squad?
Yeah, so John Jenkins has a 21-day window to kind of return off injured reserve. I don't know if he'll be ready on Sunday to play, but if he is, that's a big veteran presence up at the nose tackle spot. Other than that, I mean, the Bears are pretty healthy outside of their third safety, the guy they use a lot in the dime package, Deion Bush, probably not going to play. He's been sidelined the past 2 weeks after suffering an injury. But past that on defense, I mean, they're pretty healthy. It's just their inside linebacker depth is not that great at all. They moved on from Nick Kwiatkowski, so they don't. If there's an injury to Roquan Smith or Daniel Trevathan, they're kind of screwed there. On offense, they lost a big piece of their offensive line. James Daniels is going to be done for the rest of the year after turning his pectoral muscle, and he's been probably their most consistent lineman since he entered the league a couple of years back. He's only missed, prior to Thursday's game, he missed 1 snap his entire career, and he started every game, and it was because he had to tie his shoe on the sideline or something crazy like that. That'd be the area if you're looking for, like, is there an injury that can really impact? I mean, you talk – Christian McCaffrey is an unbelievable player, and obviously it's a huge loss for the Panthers. So if you're looking at a player, like, it's not as big of an impact in that way, but one that can maybe change the game as well, I'd say James Daniels, just because of how consistent he was. Other than that, I mean, they're pretty healthy on offense. You know, Tariq Cohen's on injured reserve. He got hurt a couple weeks ago. But other than that, they're pretty healthy.
What are your disappointments with this team? I won't say disappointments. What are your concerns with this team right now?
Offense, just not being able to score enough points. I mean, you got a defense that's holding teams to 20 points per game. In this day and age of the NFL, that should be good enough to win a lot of games. Their offense is really struggling right now. And I tell Bears fans, I was asked this the other day, I'd give Nick Foles probably a couple more games. If it looks the same, I think there's a big problem with the offense and the scheme. However, you know, he's only had these 2 games so far to start. So if the offense doesn't get better, it's going to start by running the football and taking the pressure off Foles, they're going to be in trouble. And you said, I mean, you said at the beginning of the show, they're kind of the best bad 4-1 team. If they want to be considered legit threats, they're going to have to get that offense going.
Should they extend Allen Robinson?
Yes, they should have extended Allen Robinson in June or July.
Okay.
It's really mind-boggling that they can't. I mean, I get extending Tariq Cohen. He's kind of earned it, but you know, it's crazy how they just haven't extended Allen Robinson. And there's kind of a joke going around today. The Cubs here have their own TV network, and it took them forever to get it to the majority of the Chicago users. And they just signed a deal with the Bears today to like rebroadcast games and shows. And the joke was the Bears got a deal done with the Cubs before they got a deal done with their own.
Oh, God. I was going to point out this about Allen Robinson. I was a giant fan of him coming out of college, and I wanted the Panthers to draft Allen Robinson. Instead, we, in our infinite wisdom, decided to pick Kelvin Benjamin, who does not play in the NFL anymore. And Allen Robinson, I think, he was a second-round guy, first-round talent. But one of the reasons, this fun fact about Allen Robinson in high school, he only played like 1 year of football or something like that. It's 2 years of football. He had to skip a whole season. I think it was his junior year, because he grew 6 inches in 6 weeks, and he had to skip a season because of growing pains, like his body, you know, and like he had not even played that much football. Is my point? Is like he had only played like 1 season in high school, 2 seasons in college, if even that, and then he's in the NFL. He's a stud, dude.
Yeah, he's really good, and I mean, I can speak for this off the field. He's just an awesome dude. He does so much around this city. He's one of the nicest guys to talk to all the time. And he deserves to be extended. And he's expressed it, man. He said, like, I really want to play in Chicago. I really want to be here for the rest of my career. And I look at it this way, man. he played at Penn State with Christian Hackenberg. He played in Jacksonville with Blake Bortles. He's played in Chicago with Mitch Trubisky and now Nick Foles.
Oh,
He had a decent quarterback. The numbers he would be putting up it's wild, man. It's wild what he does with poor quarterback play.
crazy, man.
Yeah.
All right, any final questions for him, Cody? Any final questions?
Do you last one? Do you anticipate we're going to see Khalil Mack lined up on the right side of our offensive line? And the reason I ask is because I feel our best lineman, Taylor Moton, right tackle, deserves to be paid, and probably should have already been paid considering how much tackles go for in today's NFL. So I think a really good litmus test on what Taylor Moton's future should be is obviously if it goes up against one of the better, if not the best, edge player in all of football. So how are you intending to use Khalil Mack? Will he mainly be on one side or the other? And just tell me how they've been deploying Khalil.
I think you'll see him on both sides. They like to kind of flip him around a little bit. The other thing, you'll see him in coverage as well, more than you expect to. There'll be times where he'll drop back in coverage on obvious pass rush situations, and it's like, what are they doing with him back there? But most of the time, you'll see him probably lined up on the right side. They'll flip him over to the left as well. I'd actually extend this a little further. If you think you're going to see Robert Quinn a lot on Sunday in terms of snaps and everything, I think you'll be surprised how little they use him. I think his snap count's just over 52%, 53%. They like to rotate a lot of guys in there.
So what's happening there, man? Because you are the second Bears fan today to really hammer home this notion that they are like almost an absurd number of times dropping him into coverage. Is that like a weird, like what's going on there? Is he playing with some kind of injury that maybe isn't being reported? What's with that?
He's always on the injury report for his knee, but it's never anything serious. I just think it's just a scheme and the looks that offenses give them for whatever reason. And I think Chuck Pagano knows he can get pressure with Akeem Hicks and pressure with Quinn and Roy Robertson Harris and Bilal Nichols, and maybe we just try to save Mac a little bit. I don't know. I can't really, to be honest, it is weird to me to see him on a third down drop back in coverage. It doesn't happen, 10, 15 times a game. I'd say it happens a little, maybe 2-3 times a game. But when it does happen, it's a little worrisome. And I just think it's their whatever packages they're in. They've been using a lot of dime packages this year, mainly because Danny Trevathan has really struggled in coverage. So they'll get him off the field, they'll bring in Deion Bush, and they'll kind of go like a zone look and maybe have Mac drop back. I just think it's just giving offenses different looks because let's say this, you're an offensive coordinator, you see Khalil Mack out there, you're guessing he's probably going to rush the quarterback. And I think Chuck Pagano is probably trying to fool them, kind of into maybe, hey, baiting them in. Maybe he can get a cheap interception or something like that.
Yeah, I lied. Last question. Is Matt Nagy's job on the line if the Bears miss the playoffs this year?
I don't think so. I think he'll get another year, and I think he'll get another year just because he'll get his quarterback. I think he's going to have his choice of what quarterback he wants.
I like that. I think
you got to give him 2 years then.
Right.
Yeah.
So
I think we'll get at least one.
Zach, I got one more question for you. It's kind of a betting question here. Looking at the Bears defense, and the Panthers offense, who have scored close to 30 points almost every game we played this year. It's been a decent looking offense as far as scoring points. Yep. I'm setting the bat line at 43. This is my own line. Over under, you taking on the game?
Ooh, 43. Man, actually, if you want to be dead serious here, I think whoever wins the game is going to be 23-20. Okay. So that way it'd be a push. If you put it 43 and a half,
wow.
I'd take the under.
Good line there.
Okay.
The real line is 44 and a half, by the way.
And I didn't look at
the over under. And the Panthers, how about this? This is according to mybookie.ag. The Panthers are 2.5-point favorites, 44.5 over under. I find that
that's
a little
home field event. That's home field event.
Man.
That's all it is.
Yeah, that's the 3-point home field. So essentially,
there's no home field in COVID world. That doesn't make any sense.
You know what's actually kind of
travel.
an interesting thought here is this will be the first game the Bears have played with fans in the stands all year. All of their opponents have fans in the stands. I don't know what the capacity is in North Carolina, but I know it will be the
I think they can have like 7,000 fans.
Are we playing with fans in the stands this year?
We did
more than Atlanta had.
The last game. How many is it, Cody? CK?
I said I don't know exactly how many, but it's definitely more than Atlanta had.
Yeah, and that's on a regular Sunday.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Zach, the Bear Report Radio podcast. Excuse me, Bear Report Radio podcast. When you guys, when can they find your show and how?
Usually we put it out on Wednesdays. You can find it on the Overtime Media Network. You can find us on Twitter at Bear Report, and you can read the website on bearreport.com. And yeah, pretty much it.
Man, thanks so much for your time. And good luck this Sunday, but not enough luck to win.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate it. Take it easy.
All right, man. That's Zach Pearson with the Bear Report Radio podcast, bringing us a little preview of what the Bears are looking like. Sounds like a defensively sound team with a inconsistent offense. The story, anyways, of the Chicago Bears. They got to be getting tired of that storyline. Now, I'd like to welcome in our next guest, also member of the podcast, CK. Codizzle. What's up, my man? Nice to see you.
What's up, buddy?
Hey, how's it going? Hey, I'm going to need you guys to just rewind and let's redo the show from the beginning.
Let's start over.
From the
In a world.
From the top. Here we go.
The audio's not working. The audio's not working. The stream's not working. Oh, Tony's pissed. No, everything's working. All right. How you doing, man?
Doing good. Just having a blast, working, and then streaming, and then coming here and hanging out with you guys.
Well, CK, just be prepared. We've already been accused once in the chat room of being haters and downers. So I don't think it's
actually
yet,
been very happy. I found out. I asked Panthers guide FSU. I said, "What would it require?" I mean, I want to know this. Like, what does my excitement level need to be at? Does it need to be at 10-6?
To be
like,
I'm
just saying this is, am I excited we beat Atlanta for the first time since 2014? Certainly. I guess I'm excited. Yeah, right. At their place, the first time since 2017. But I'd also like to remind they're 0-5. So it's not like I felt like they have been so bad. I hate the Falcons. I'm never going to feel bad for them. But they were getting to the point where you're like, God, these poor
But here's
fellas.
the part, and I know it's a little like, just to kind of play the other side of this, and I did a little bit on Sunday as well. I mean, they were playing some tough opponents, and, they played the Bears. They played somebody else who's undefeated. But nonetheless, played some people that are.
They've played the Packers. They've played the Bears.
The Bears are undefeated. Excuse me.
Yeah, for a 4-1, but still.
Yeah.
Packers are. They're not. Yeah, it's not been like they're not the worst. They're not the worst team, but they're also 0-5.
I'll go back a little bit even further because you have the Chargers who handled themselves pretty well against the Chiefs. You have them who handled themselves pretty well against the Saints, and honestly,
should have won.
Should have won. They would have won that. And then you go back to even the our almost win, possible win against the Raiders, and who just knocked off the Chiefs, and in a pretty dominating fashion.
I feel like I am very excited in this is that we're playing with house money.
Right.
Is that like anything? First of all, right now, if we don't win a single game from now on, yes, will it be very disappointing and a rough whatever? We got like 11 games to go. Certainly it'll be rough. But to be honest, like that's not the worst possible scenario I forecast for this season. And I'm not saying that I even forecast them to be terrible. I just didn't. Like, I think it's unreasonable to expect people to be very good when there's not a lot of evidence that was there. Now, each week we're getting more and different data. And really, to be honest, is that this defense is getting better and playing probably better than they are.
And
Let's
here's
just
the part
be
that I'll-
honest about that. Is that do you
Here's the
really
part-
think our defense is that much better than they've played at this point?
Here's what I wanted to say, because I think that I'm not gonna sit here and defend anybody shit talking us saying we don't know anything about football, right? We're all, have been watching football for all of our lives, and if not played it for a good portion of it, we know, right? But as Panthers fans, even when Cam was here, we would get frustrated with the media always talking, not giving us credit, not giving us our due. And you got to think about it. I mean, Panthers FSU has been 100% an optimist with this team since day
From the
one.
beginning.
Like, yes,
From the
Yeah,
beginning.
he is.
And so when he's all in and he's got that frustration of people shitting on his team as well. So I mean, I get the frustration. Now, when you're talking about people like Brandon Herbert who want to sit here and say that we don't know what we're talking about when we say Teddy isn't the long-term answer for this organization, that's when I'll take offense to that. But other than that, I mean, I get why people, when we are critiquing this team for what it really is, which is unproven up to this point, to a certain degree, then at that point I get it, because they've been dealing with it for their entire time, as we all have, being Panthers fans.
Right.
So,
and Tony, I want to add to what you were saying there, or kind of talk about what you were saying there with the playing with house money, because I feel like it's a little bit of a difference. I feel like the Chiefs are playing with house money because they've already won the Super Bowl. They've got all these young players under contract. They have a chance to move forward and do whatever they want to do. They signed their quarterback to a 10-year deal. I feel like we'd be playing with house money if the fact that we lose or win didn't matter. But here are the simple facts. If we end up winning 7 games, we're going to be in a terrible position, just like put us in the exact same position as last year. If we end up winning no more games the rest of the year, then maybe we have something to build the franchise around.
Nah, I disagree.
I'm still not a believer that Teddy Bridgewater is a franchise guy to build around.
My point about the house money is actually no, I disagree entirely. It's like the Chiefs aren't playing with the house money because, I mean, yes, they've won, like, so they don't have to win to be successful. But at the same time, like, if you're the former Super Bowl champion, you've got the $400 million quarterback or whatever he is. You've got these pieces. You've got all the parts right there. If they don't make the playoffs, that's a disappointment. It's kind of Super Bowl or bust for the Chiefs, right?
Well,
if I was a Chiefs fan, that's how I would be. Is that if I was like in the Panthers universe after 2015,
okay, I get what you're saying.
I didn't have like anything less than the playoffs in 2016 was a big disappointment. But if we make the playoffs, like that's like what? That's gonna be awesome. If we're right now, we're contending for the division. So it's like we don't really have anything to lose. We can go out there and play as hard as we can. And if we lose, we can still take away some, not moral victories, but real improvements and some different things. So I like, I think it's like, it's kind of easy right now for me being a Panther fan because we've gotten enough wins to be like, this is not a tire fire. And so either way, like I'm feeling better than I did 10 weeks ago. Not 10 weeks ago, 10 games ago. You know what I'm saying? Like I almost feel like this is we've touched the bottom of the pool. Like, is that my cousin used to say, when you get depressed, this is probably not good mental health advice. But like his advice was to get to the bottom of the pool. Like you got to touch the bottom, and then you're on the way back up from there. I feel like we've touched the bottom.
Yeah. And I want to ask you, and this kind of relates to a question that Rock Rhymes here has in the chat. And he says, if you draft well enough, the draft position doesn't matter. To a certain extent, you're right. It doesn't. At the same time, you have a much higher chance of drafting a career player, Hall of Famer in the first 5 picks than you do any other time. So if we end up landing in like what I guess between the 10th and the 14th pick, is there a player that we think next year in that position that can make us a contender? Like can we move forward with a player in that position that will make us a contender for the Super Bowl?
I think it's kind of as like your point is sound in some ways, which is that being in the top, I mean, obviously having early picks gives you more opportunity to get the better players. I mean, that makes sense. But at the same time, if you went through and looked at how many top 10 draft busts there were in the history of the league, is like, it's really, I mean, we could have, the year that we drafted Luke Kuechly, the Joey Riolano, my boy, and myself wanted us to get Morris Claiborne. It was like Morris Claiborne, the top corner, He turned out being nothing. Not really. I mean, he was all right, but it was like he was dumb. He is notorious for having a 4 or something like that on the Wonderlic score. Like the Wonderlic test made fun of him. That was what it did. It laughed at him.
I'm more
Jump in there. I got to go get a beer real quick.
Well, I'm more on Greg's side about this than I am on yours, Tony, because I think that if you look at our draft, Cam Newton and Luke Kuechly came in those top 10 picks, did they not?
Luke Kuechly was a 12, I think.
No, Luke Kuechly
I think he was 8, right?
He was the 8th pick in the draft.
I don't think so. I think more. Well, then, if so, Morris Claiborne was 7.
I'll look it up.
Either way, I think that you want to draft the cornerstones of your team, draft them early. If you have some bad years, every good team right now that's competing, they have an early draft pick that they either win up to get.
No, that's not every team.
He was drafted 9th.
9th, okay.
Every team has.
That's not even that big of a. Yeah, I mean that's like
that were drafted in the top 15.
It's because you're drafted. I'm getting.
No, it is important. Even the Patriots don't have nothing but 32 picks. Or it's not like the 32nd pick all the time. I mean, yeah, they do draft well, but they do a lot of things well. They do free agency well. There's a lot that goes into it. Greg, I do take your point that, again, yeah, man, do draft franchise players in the top 15 picks. Players that ideally you're going to want to see wear a gold jacket one day. Now, does that mean they all will? Absolutely not. Not at all. But it does mean that there's, you want players that are going to change your football team, that are going to have a meaningful impact if they're not there. So, you have to have those kinds of players. But like
Leonard Fournette was drafted ahead of Christian McCaffrey.
There are always busts, but how
that's my point. That's my point. Is that overall the health of your organization is not going to
top 5 picks into being successful than 10 to 14.
I need to see.
I can almost guarantee you that more top 5 picks.
I'd like to see that. That would be a great stat.
Yeah,
look up.
That would be a great stat. I want to look it up. Yeah.
All right, let's do this. Can we go to the calls?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right.
So what are your thoughts on catcalling?
Yeah, it's pretty. You shouldn't do that to somebody.
And how did that make you feel?
Very uncomfortable.
So how do you think catcalling makes the person feel?
It feels good, like.
Who's that cat sitting in the back corner with his face buried in his nose? Who's that kid that can use one?
All right, guys, this is Jedi Jor here, and I have a hot take. So let me channel my inner Stephen A. Smith. All right, Mike Davis is everything that we wanted Cameron Artis Payne to be.
Ooh,
and when I say that lightly because I was never a Cameron Artis Payne believer, but everybody swore up and down that he was going to be this great running back had he got a shot. And every time that he did get an opportunity to show us what he could do, he disappointed us like a father of a porn star.
Oh,
we don't have to get that dude a roster spot anymore.
Awesome.
But Mike Davis has been everything that we want a backup running back to be. He plays physical. He brings something different than what McCaffrey brings. Obviously, he's not better than McCaffrey. McCaffrey is, MVP level every year. So I'm not going to say anything that crazy, but yeah, definitely. Mike Davis is everything that we wanted Cameron Artis Payne to be. All right, you guys have a good one. Keep doing a good job. Keep on it.
I would like to say this is
call.
Except for Cameron Artis Payne was awesome. We just never let him be Cameron Artis Payne. He's the man without a cap.
Rivera, man. Ron Rivera. It was a problem with Ron. He was not able to build up talented, It's a Ron Rivera thing, man. I'm telling you. I'm telling you, it's a Ron Rivera thing.
Maybe I can't say it wasn't. So
I mean, that's what I think it was. I also think that Mike Davis, I want to see him be a real part of this football team.
You brought this up before the beginning of the show, Cody, as I asked you, what do you want to talk about tonight? You said, I want to talk about Mike Davis in the two-back system. Talk about what you've seen, because Mike Davis has run mean. He's been like a sledgehammer on twinkle toes. He's like so mean and rough, but also light on his feet and wonderful. He's not seen like a liability in the passing game or I don't know. They take him off in third down, I feel like, a lot of times. But I don't know, probably because they're spreading them out. What are your thoughts about Mike Davis, Christian McCaffrey, and how it works?
Yeah, I think that we extend the longevity of McCaffrey's career by really utilizing this blessing in disguise that Christian McCaffrey's injury has been. I think you have to have a bit of a selfish mentality on offense. We want all the yards, we want all the points, and we want our players to play all the years. Okay? And I think that we can do that and implement a system where we have two legitimate running backs. Mm-hmm. I think that it's that thunder and lightning approach that the Panthers have done very effectively before with Jonathan Stewart and D'Angelo Williams.
Yeah.
So I'm of the mindset that we've discovered a good thing. Let's keep him being a good thing in this offense. Let's help out Christian. It allows Christian to be flexed out at wide receiver more often. We can use him on. There's so many different possibilities of adding in another talented back to this system on top of having a player like McCaffrey. I think that could be a very potent, very powerful 1-2 punch, especially at a time when our offensive line is really playing really well.
You know, this is going to be the only year Mike Davis is a Carolina Panther, right?
Oh, yeah, he's going to be picked up by the Patriots next year.
Or anybody. Like, he is playing he's playing on a minimum deal, basically, a 1 year prove-it deal. He's out there trying to prove that he could be – you know, I was thinking, like, he could be a starter for a team, and right now he looks like it. And I would like to say, you know, I want to go back and look at the tape. Maybe I'm misremembering, but I feel like he reminds me of Michael Turner, who was also a Charger like Tolbert was, but Michael Turner went to Atlanta and had a lot of success. He kind of reminds me of that, but I need to go back. Maybe I'm thinking wrong. Mike Davis in the two-back system. I turn it over to the fellas.
I have a real quick question about. Yeah. Sorry, CK. Can I ask real quick about what Cody was talking about right there? Is you mentioned the last point. I'm glad you got that point in about the offensive line playing so much better. Do you think maybe I'm not trying to say that Ron Rivera was not a problem, but do you think that maybe the offensive line playing a lot better has to do with maybe the fact that Davis is getting a better chance, and the fact that Christian McCaffrey is injured is giving him a bigger chance? I mean, had Christian McCaffrey been injured last year and Cameron Artis-Payne was our only running back, he would have gotten more of an opportunity. So I think the opportunities are coming not only because he's doing well, but because we don't have another option. And two, I wanted to ask you, what you're saying right now, I agree with you. The thunder and lightning in the backfield is great. Do you want to have a thunder and lightning option when you just paid the running back the highest paid position in the NFL? Like, he's the highest paid running back in the NFL. Doesn't that mean you want him to be the guy who's taking the load and taking the bulk of things? You know, at the beginning of the year, we got mad Christian McCaffrey didn't get that one run. So, I mean, you know, I got to remind us about all that kind of stuff. I do agree. I like the idea of having two backs back there that can really do well, but we're arguing against ourselves if we say that, honestly, because we were pissed that Christian McCaffrey didn't get that carry in game 2.
I think it's a situational football thing, though. Yeah. I don't necessarily think that it's wrong using other players. I think that when the game is on the line and you need a fourth down, give it to the guy that you paid to be the guy.
Okay.
I don't know. I feel like we should have just given it to Mike Davis, to be honest. If I need 1 yard, I'm kind of putting my money on this bowling ball mug over here.
That's what I'm saying. It looks funny.
I almost say this is run Mike Davis into the ground this year, since he won't be a Panther anymore. Just give CMC the rest of the season off.
What if you have the 10th pick and you trade Christian McCaffrey down to the 2nd or 3rd and you keep Mike
We're
Davis?
not talking about any of that. Did you guys see this Derrick Henry stiff one?
Yeah.
Oh my god!
No.
Yeah, Derrick Henry played great tonight. Oh, he played great tonight.
Did I see Derrick Henry take Josh Norman's soul? I did see that.
Was it Josh Norman?
That's Josh Norman.
Awesome. Oh my god! Poor guy.
That adds to my narrative that he is garbage.
No, he was off balance and running. I mean, it was
he played good 1 year. Come on.
No, you got to remember, Derrick Henry is a freaking beast, bro.
Yes, but you're one of the highest paid cornerbacks.
You got to see that. Not
anymore.
He's not.
Yeah, he's not.
Not anymore. He's not.
He was.
I like Josh Norman. All right, let's go to the next call. The number's 252.
The Bills got pooped on tonight.
Yeah,
but you got to also keep in mind they were without 7 starters. Like
the Bills were?
Yeah, they were without 7 starters tonight.
The end.
They were Trey White, one of their best players on the defense.
Yeah.
Not there. Brown, not there. Yeah, it's a lot of people. If you look at their injury or the people that were not playing, and I don't know if it's all injury related or not, they were decimated. And that's no excuse. Josh Allen played horrible tonight.
Yeah. But once again, the end is also deceiving because they were only down by like 7 or 8 points with like 7 minutes left. And they did a kickoff, and they fumbled the kickoff, and the Titans got the ball back on the 20-yard line and scored a touchdown. So, I mean, it was kind of deceiving.
Turnovers lead the points, right?
Turnovers lead the points, exactly.
So,
it's part of the game, but it's not as bad of an ass whooping as it looked like.
I'm not going to say excuses. The reasoning a lot of Bills fans that I'm seeing is that they're having to prepare for 2 teams right now because they have to worry about playing the Chiefs next. So I don't think there's much credit to that because the Bills haven't had to play because of the whole reason this got moved was because of COVID, right? And so it's not like they're on a short week. They've had a long week to prepare. So they're trying to say that they've been preparing for 2 teams, but they don't even have to play the Chiefs until Monday night next week. So they even have
that's silly. I think that's a silly thing because you should only be preparing for the people you got to prepare for, which is right now it was the team you just lost to. Split. I don't even know why you would prepare for. I mean, it's not like you. I don't know. That doesn't make sense to me. Is that you got to prepare for the Titans, who were a playoff team last year, who have been good this year. If you're looking ahead, you're buying into your own legend already.
Yeah. Oh no, I think this is a situation of the Bills being young, but also being way too cocky.
Or maybe this is what happens when you run into a team that can run the ball and play defense.
I also tonight saw a bunch of receivers dropping passes for the Bills too. I'm just saying. I saw a ton of drop passes.
I mean, it happens. And then clock kill it like the Panthers do. I'd be interested. I mean, this is something I want to follow this season is how many possessions does a team get. So what I was thinking about with this earlier is that the Panthers have been decimating the time of possession battle throughout the season. We've been getting better on third downs, which has led to longer drives. In this past Atlanta game, we had three drives that were more than 7 minutes long. And not only does that allow you to control the game, but one of the things that I think it does for our team that helps is it just gives their offense less possessions. So then each possession that they have becomes numerically and statistically more valuable. So if you stop their offense and they only get 5 possessions, you've stopped them 20% of the time right away. You know what I mean? And so I think that for a team that is not explosive, and it's not just running the clock down and playing good defense, that's not the only way that you win the time of possession battle, right? There's other ways to do it, and that is spread the ball out, dink and dunk. And that is one of the things that may be helping our young defense. Be interested to see how many possessions the Bills actually had because, if that's how you screw with a good offense is you keep them off the field.
Yeah.
Right? And you don't do that with your defense. Like if I play, I mean, right now I don't want to do that. I'm trying to think. That's how you beat the Chiefs, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's how, but in theory.
That's how I would try to beat them if I was the Panthers. We got to play them this year. I want them to have as few as possible opportunities to score as they can. So if they have 7 drives and they score on 4 of them, and that's all they get, don't turn it over, long drives, you can be in that game.
I think to beat the Chiefs, you have to do both. I think that's what the Raiders did.
Right.
If you notice Derek Carr, he attacked downfield and with Henry Ruggs, and that's what they did. And again, I don't care if anyone wants to say I'm being a bad fan or not. That's my worry about this football team, that we can be a good football team, but if we have to get into a shootout, I don't think the Panthers are built to win a shootout.
Yeah, I don't think we are either. That's not the game we want to play. That's kind of like saying you wanted to be the 2013 Panthers and try to win with offense. No, we tried to keep the score under 20, and win that way. I know this is that I wouldn't want us to. I don't think this team wants to be in shootouts. I don't think. No. I mean, I don't think they say that they can't win that way. I think they would say we don't want to win that way. Right? Is that if we have to do that, we will. No, you don't have. But no, I mean, think about it. Is that if you're a distance runner, you don't want to challenge. You don't want your opponents to sprint. To do 40-yard dashes. Like let's do 10 40-yard dashes. No, that's not my game. That's not our game right now. And if we get in that game, that's going to be a problem. The number's 252-228-5098.
What it do, C3? It's your boy Mike, a.k.a.
Supreme Leader.
Supreme. Hope you guys are doing all right.
Yeah, man.
Hope you guys are doing great. All right. Okay, this is what I want you guys to do. All right. Just play along with your Supreme Leader. All right. Close your eyes. All right.
All right.
Just close your eyes. Now picture hands. All right. One hand, a right hand, and a left hand. Okay. You got your 2 hands. Okay. Now picture those hands touching other hand. All right.
Oh.
Then picture something reaching out, and then they're touching me.
Oh, I know
they're
he's doing.
touching
Weird.
you.
Yeah, I know what he's doing.
And then
Caroline,
think of a sweet young lady named Caroline. She's got
I know
song
he's doing.
stuck in her head. She can't remember it, but it's something like bum bum bum. Right. Now open your eyes.
Yeah.
It's a great day to be a freaking Carolina fan.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I like it.
So I am overjoyed to see the growth on all levels of offense and defense. Teddy, not shitting on Cam. I will never shit on Cam, but Teddy, his accuracy is getting a lot better, and I'm liking what I'm seeing. Mike Davis, oh boy, that man runs like somebody just slapped his baby with a freaking 100-pound pair of I don't know, but
Dicks.
that baby got slapped. All 3 of our starting receivers, they stepped up big time. Oh my God.
They're
I am
doing
proud.
well.
D-line still showing that roughness and toughness. Hate to see Burns get hurt, but hopefully he'll be back in another week. Linebacker Shaq Thompson, he doing his thing. Jeremy Chin as well, still doing his thing. Whitehead, I am not sure about him anymore. God, I miss Luke. Secondary, way to go, Justin Burris. Way to go on that interception, buddy. I don't know who Matt Ryan was throwing to, but way to go. You could have fell on that fumble, but I'll cut you some slack, man.
Scoop and score.
I'm speechless, guys. We're 3-2. We're right in the hunt. Got the Bears coming up. They ain't shit, so I ain't worried about it.
Is that the here? Let's see. All right, go ahead and comment on that part of the call because we got Bart Dew. Actually, no, maybe not right away.
I'll ask real quick then. The Bears just beat the Bucks.
Yep.
Last week on Thursday in 2019. The Bucks barely beat us. So
barely beat us?
They did. They were up like 28 or 21-0, and they ended up winning by like 4 points, I think.
Did they Chicago barely beat us?
We haven't played Chicago yet. We played Chicago this weekend.
Sorry, I was trying to make a pun on the word bear. B-E-A-R. Did they barely beat us?
I did that twice to you now. That and the cheesy. I did that twice too. Which, by the way, that episode is dropping again on Friday. It's a retro, but you gotta check it out. Nice. So it makes me wonder, based on what everybody's saying and looking at the things in the future, I think we have a really good shot of beating the Bears. I think that maybe had the Bucks not gone up 21-0 or however much they went up on us in the first half to begin with, that we would have had a real shot at that game. And there's a very good chance we could beat the Bears.
And you got to keep in mind, too, that game we were still trying to find our identity. I mean, and I feel like we're still trying to do that a little bit, but we've got something, and I think we're going to grab a hold of it. And I think this team is hopefully going to not let the taste of winning get in the way. You know what I mean?
All right.
Yeah, we've been in all the games so far. If the most out of reach game was the Bucks game for us, and there was an opportunity to come back and tie. And I'd like to point out this is that while the Bears did pull that game out, there was some problems. First of all, the Bucks played pretty well to start that game. Vita Vea goes down. That hurt their pass rush a little bit, their ability to stop their run. I guess maybe it's just pass rush in general. The Bucks were really in command of that game for the vast majority of that game, and arguably just hadn't played as well as they could have, only scoring, 19 points by the end of the game. And the Bears did make kind of a last-minute thrust. And again, the Bears, when we were talking about with our guest, Zach Pearson, and I'm pretty sure it was this game, is that, you're down within the last 2 minutes of the game, and I think they passed the ball twice. I mean, Tom Brady got the football back with like a minute and 15 seconds left, and all they needed was a field goal. And really, Tom Brady shit the bed like an uncharacteristic. The first time
he forgot.
It's like the first time he's ever made a mistake, really.
Yeah,
I mean, think about that.
What down it was.
Yeah, I mean, he thought it was third down. And then being the douchebag he was, he didn't act like that's what happened in the press conference.
Right.
But so I won't say, look, is the Bears won the game. So I'm not trying to take anything away from them. But in some ways, three of the opponents they've played have also lost the game. The Lions dropped a touchdown pass at the end that would have, it was there. It was there. It was game over if he catches that ball. The Falcons were up like 1 billion points and then gave away shit the bed. And the Bucks also, in some ways, shit the bed in this game. So I'm not trying to take anything away from them, but yeah, we can beat them. Oh yeah, we can beat them right now. Yeah, I think we're favored right now, and I think that's part of the reason we're favored is the Bears have been winning games they shouldn't have won. And we've been winning games we should win and can win, I guess. And if we would have won that Oakland game, man.
Or the Tampa Bay game.
Either one.
Like we'd be 4-1 right now. I agree. Yeah, it'd be crazy.
Great storyline. It's already a great storyline. I think we're going to there's a very good chance we extend to 4 wins. And there's a very good chance I'm mailing you that $10 check or PayPaling you
going straight to the charity.
Later.
Straight to the charity. Yep.
Here's my question. Right now, the Bears. We can all agree that our offense is better than their offense, right?
Yes.
I would say yes.
Now, the biggest thing is the defenses. Now, we got to keep in mind, we can say our offense is better than their offense all day, but it really boils down to how much better our offense is than their defense, and how much better their defense is than our offense. Because we can all agree that our defense.
Good way of putting it. Great way.
Yeah, that's really what it boils down to. Is if
it's not defense to defense, it's defense to offense and offense to defense.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, we like can our defense. The way I'm looking at it, the way I approach it is, it's almost like two sides of the same coin, right? One side is the offense that we run, and their defense are at a certain level. We have a higher level of efficiency on our offense, and then our defense is still pretty good. Don't get me wrong, but their offense is okay. It's not winning any awards. Do I think that I'm just trying to put it into perspective that if our defense can stop them from scoring, their defense cannot stop us from scoring at least once, right?
Right.
Our defense can stop them because they're not running behind a tremendously talented, running back core. They're not bad, but they're not like superstar, or anything right now.
I think their defense is better better than you give them credit for.
Oh,
I think they can stop
better
our
than maybe
offense.
we're giving
I'm not
them
saying they
credit for,
will, but I think they can.
Well, the thing is, too, with this situation, it's always, when you got to look at it, defense is always more difficult. Even though you may have a fantastic defense, having a number one defense to me is like having a top 6, 7, 5, 8 offense, because defense is always reactionary. You don't know what's going to happen. You've got to play based on what happens and react and execute. Offense is different. Before the ball snapped what's going to happen. So having a top 6, 7, 8 offense is like having a top 3 defense. So, I mean, I'm a believer the defense wins championships, but defense is much harder to play because you're always playing the reactionary role.
How you beat this Bears defense is you Mike Davis them to death.
Maybe.
Yeah. You just
thud
them.
Mike Davis them.
You want to ruin a pass
more
attack?
Them over the top. Yep.
You want to ruin a pass rush? Is you just soften them. You make Eddie Jackson have to creep up in the box, this and that, and then all of a sudden, you know what I'm saying, is that if we can't run the ball effectively on Sunday, it's going to be a lot more difficult to beat a team that has those parts. We heard about the parts, and we know last year, wasn't it, Cody? Was it last year that you had Eddie Jackson at Defensive Rookie of the Year?
No,
or 2 years. Remember, we did a big thing about Eddie Jackson on this show and how good he was and stuff like this. And was it last year or the year before?
Year before, because it was the Bears. It was when we faced the Bears, and they destroyed us.
Well, but neither of our offenses did shit that game. I will say this though. I think our chances depend on us being able to make those third downs third and manageable. So basically short yardage. It needs to be 3rd and 7. And that means that
long. It needs to be like 3rd and 5.
What I mean is 3rd and 7 and less. Because anything after that, I mean, again, he can throw. I'm not saying he can't throw more than that. But I'm saying once you're getting into 3rd and 12, 3rd and 15, I just trust. I don't know if I trust yet. Again, this is a big test. The biggest test so far to our offensive line. How about that?
Yeah,
we've been giving our offensive line a ton of credit. I think this is a legitimate defense, from their defensive line to the linebacking core to their backfield. I think we're really going to see what kind of offense we have, and if this kind of offense is able to beat a defense of that caliber. And 2, if things don't go our way, are we able to make the necessary adjustments to be able to combat this defense? And that would be another test for Matt Rhule, because we haven't seen him do that yet. That was one of our big criticisms of Rivera, is that after halftime, we wouldn't make any adjustments. So that we still have an opportunity to see that from Matt Rhule. And I want to see what our offensive line does. We have an opportunity to show out.
All right, let's keep plowing. Go ahead.
Do we have word on Christian McCaffrey? Is he coming back this week?
We'll find out tomorrow about injuries. Matt Rhule in his press conference on Monday said that there were so many injuries, right? There's like so many that he wouldn't be able to speak on any of them till Wednesday. And that would be the earliest that they would be able to make a determination about Christian McCaffrey. The two things that came out of that, though, were one, he said that he did not have to come back this week to remain on IR. And two, it didn't sound like they were in a hurry to bring him back.
I wonder why.
Right. All right. The number is 252-228-5098.
Hey guys, Jason from Colorado calling. I'm good. I got a lot to say. I'm probably going to use up 2 messages, but I guess I'll start off.
Do it, brother. We're here for you.
Last week I heard a lot of talk about stats and how stats don't lie, and that if you look at stats that Kyle Allen is as good of a quarterback as Teddy Bridgewater, but then in the same breath, I hear all this talk about how Teddy's numbers are inflated because of yards after catch, and that in that way that the stats are lying. And I don't think it goes one way or the other, but I think that context is super important. And
yes,
I think that, you know, as a student of history, that's what I studied in college, just like you, Tony, and context is everything. You can't take a single statistic and isolate it and say that this is what caused anything, because that causality can't be isolated like that. But
very good.
Do you think that the lack of a deep game means that we can't do it, or do you think that we're just pacing our offense? And I think that
it's a good question right here.
I think
I've been thinking about this.
That by playing to our strengths, we want to avoid getting into shootouts. And I think that the way that you avoid getting into a shootout is by winning the time of possession battle.
My man, we're like on the same cerebral
keeping
wavelength.
Control of it, pacing yourself, and really you don't need to take those huge chunk plays because we weren't really getting behind the sticks. We don't have a lot of penalties. We've been playing really disciplined football. And so I think that shows that we have a game plan going into it, and I do think that shows that we're trying to scheme to our opponent's weaknesses as much as we are scheming to our own strengths, and I think that shows the quality of the coaching. Secondly, I feel like I've been a bit of a Shaq apologist for the past couple weeks, and I just wanted to point out that Shaq is second on the team after Chin in tackles, but I kind of feel like Whitehead might be making Shaq worse in the same way that we used to talk about Paradis' play being reduced by the quality of the guards on either side of him, and how he would have to kind of compensate for them missing assignments. And I feel like Shaq might be doing the same thing with Tahir Whitehead and having to bite off more than he can chew because he has to cover a bit more of the field to cover some of Whitehead's vulnerabilities. But I could just be, looking through things with rose-colored glasses. I did see that Carolina's passing attack is 5th behind only the Cowboys, Bills, Packers, and Chiefs, which really is pretty freaking awesome. We're 7th overall when you plug in the run game, but Mike Davis has been delivering more than enough. I mean, like Tony said, he is a very mean man. And, I heard a lot of love for Brian Burns last week too. And I noticed that, I don't know if you guys saw on Twitter before the season that Julius Peppers put up.
All right. So that's the first half of the call. We're going to get to the second half. First of all, great call.
Great call.
Been like we're walking in step, man. That's what historians obviously do together. What comes up to me is like whenever my students talk about facts, it's like just the facts. I want to speak on facts. Is that people use that term loosely, right? Is like, what is a fact? There's actually a lot less facts than you think, right? Is that a lot of it is context, interpretation. Now, with statistics, the quote that comes to mind, and I forget who says it, but there's statistics, there's damn statistics, and there's lies, right? So we can pull numbers, right, out that prove almost any argument we want to make in some way. But, and look at this, is that for someone who has been resistant to, I look at this offense and I don't see it as like a dynamic offense. maybe that's not the right word. Dynamic, prolific is not the word. Is the word maybe I'm looking for. Is not. Is that the fact that we're in those conversations with Dallas, who has put up a bazillion points. Maybe it's because they had to. But like Green Bay, I don't feel like we're a top offense. I don't feel like we're a bad offense either. And I think I agree with a lot of it is that, look, it's that we need this offense to do exactly what it's doing, not turn the ball over, move the ball down the field, and we need them to do even better about getting in the end zone.
Yeah. Can I bring up one point? I did love that call. He raised a lot of great points. There was only one issue I had with that call, with him talking about the coaching this year and how great they're doing playing to the competition. Because last year, us and fans complained about Ron Rivera playing to the competition. So I guess if it goes your way, it's okay to do that. But playing to the competition is not the way you should coach a team to play. They should play 100% all the time.
Maybe what I think. No, I don't.
But why was it bad?
Is that
for
what
Ron
he was
Rivera,
saying?
then?
I thought he was saying is that we are adapting to the competition. You know, Ron Rivera had an attitude.
I could be mistaken. So
Ron Rivera had an attitude is we're going to win this way regardless of who we play.
And if we
could play the Chiefs, we could play this, we could play any team, and this is how we're going to win. And he was notoriously terrible there was zero adjustment. The Panthers never made an adjustment.
Right.
And I don't know if it was him. Like, I've always wondered this. How do teams walk into the locker room in that 12 minutes that they're back there? You know what I'm saying? Because they have to walk back there. And then
all these adjustments, yeah.
Yeah, and
when
then all of a sudden they come
a big halftime speech or something like that. Like, where's the time to actually go over the game? Like, if it takes you all week to game plan, and then all of a sudden that game plan's not working, how do you adjust that game plan?
Right? How do they do it? I don't understand it. But I could tell you this: is that after watching all those Ron Rivera teams, they rarely did anything different in the second half. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was just like more of the same. No, good call. Let's go to part 2.
But yeah, Brian Burns, or Julius Peppers put a picture of Brian Burns up, and with the statement, he said the next one, and then Brian Burns puts up the goat emoji, and it was all in good fun. It was nice to see that love being spread around, and it's nice to see Brian Burns really developing into a dominant pass rusher. And then another thing that was mentioned on the show last week is, like, when he got hurt, they were saying that he didn't get a concussion, but he had concussion symptoms, and I don't see how that can be possible. I mean, after taking a hit like that and exhibiting concussion symptoms, that must mean that you have a concussion. And I feel like I take that more seriously than most people, especially after seeing Luke's career shortened for whatever reason, but concussions must have had something to do with it. And so I think that they really just ought to play it safe with him and give him time off, even if it means he doesn't play next week or even the week after. I mean, you can't take those things lightly. We're doing fine. I don't think losing Brian Burns sank our defense, but I certainly would rather have him stick around for 10, 12 more years than, force him out on the field and have him get hurt again. But I guess
real quick interjection here. We're about 2 years outside of the concussion kind of scandal or whatever you would want to call it. 2 or 3 years outside of, like, Cam was getting hit in the head. They made the movie Concussion or whatever it was. What is it that they're all getting? CTE. Yeah, CTE stuff and all of this. And it was now there have been other issues that have infiltrated this NFL conversation, and I'm not trying to like bridge these by any means, but Black Lives Matter, social issues, this and that have taken over, right? Have replaced that. Do you guys? I feel like I've noticed it. Then I've seen guys in the game look like some of the things they would have stopped it 2 years ago and been like, this mug's got to go. We got to have 7 doctors check on him. I feel like they're also they're kind of regressing on the CTE concussion stuff. I've seen people look woozy, and I mean, like, they need to come out. according to what they were doing 2 years ago, there was a doctor with binoculars watching every player to see how he reacted if he stumbled a little bit. Do you guys notice that at all? Do you feel like it's taken a step back, I guess?
I don't know. I feel like I haven't seen as many concussions this year. I mean, me personally, I don't know about you guys. I mean, I've seen a few where somebody looks like they're like, they're and their teammate seems super concerned, but their teammates are literally the ones stopping the plays. I don't think I've seen the referees coming in and doing anything in at least in the games that I've been watching. I don't know about you guys.
2 years ago, anybody that showed any symptoms had to be mandatory. Don't you remember this? They had to be taken. Now, maybe the tent has changed some of this, because the tent is kind of newer. But you remember, it was like if they showed any symptoms, they had to be taken back into the locker room and examined by a third-party head specialist. I haven't heard anything about that in the last year, right?
No.
I mean, so just observation. Let's keep going with the call.
Lastly, I wanted to propose a question because, looking back at the losing or win-loss records of teams that are in the, the top spot when we're talking about some of the quarterbacks or top three, the ceiling of wins is really only about 4 wins. So we're really knocking on the door of playing ourselves out of, what most people would consider play for the first round, the top quarterbacks of this next draft. But let's say the teams like the Jets or the Giants, which I feel like a lot of us would agree that they're front runners for those positions, but they're also teams that already have a solution at quarterback, whether or not it's a franchise guy. So what would you all think about trading a 3rd or a 4th round pick over to, for a Sam Darnold or a Daniel Jones? I don't know if I know enough about those guys, but I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. I love the podcast. Keep it up. It's really great having somebody to talk to about some Panthers football being all the way out here in the diaspora. But, I appreciate what you guys are doing.
Love having you being a contributor of the show, man. Keep calling, keep being part of the community. Your 2 calls tonight have been great contributions to the discussion. I'm going to turn it over to Cody Lashney on that. I was actually kind of thinking this too, is that I know Sam Darnold might be used goods, and maybe Teddy Bridgewater to a Sam Darnold isn't. Maybe that's not the year you do it. I don't know. What do you think about sloppy seconds on one of those names?
I would be more okay with Sam Darnold than I am with Daniel Jones. However, you also have to realize that either of those guys, if we're trading for them, at some point they have to be paid. So we would have to figure out if they were the guy within the next year or 2.
We've already paid Bridgewater.
Yeah, and again, we already have Teddy. There's almost no real point to it. I mean, again, I felt like I tried to say this earlier this year. If you're going to rebuild and you're going to move from one quarterback to another, you need to draft him, because that way you have a quarterback on a rookie contract that you're not sinking a ton of money into. You can put your finances into other aspects of the team, and build that way. I mean, that's why I said if you have a guy that you like and you want to build your football team around him, go get him. Go get him. That's my mindset. I think that's what you have to do to win, specifically in today's NFL. And I do think Sam Darnold, once it gets away from Adam Gase, just like a lot of players who leave Adam Gase, I think Sam Darnold, I do think has potential, but he needs to be. I don't think
he's done. I mean, I won't say done, but he's actually
is
somewhat of an intriguing name.
Remember, he was the most pro-ready quarterback.
Yes,
coming out of college.
They did release Bell.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah. That's insane. You know what's crazy about that is, does that speak volumes to the willingness to hold out? I mean, I know why he did it, but like he lost 2 years of his quality like years as a running back. Even though he wasn't getting hit in that moment in time, but he was still losing those years.
He hasn't done anything since he came back.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like, did he just? I mean, I feel like he ruined his ability to make a name in this in history.
He should have just taken the money from the Steelers.
That's why you don't go chasing waterfalls.
I mean,
right? Don't go chasing
all right,
waterfalls.
TLC.
Stick to the rivers and lakes that
Or-
you're used to, buddy. I'm telling you.
guys, you got to keep in mind, Dak hasn't gotten paid. Like, he didn't get paid before all of this.
That's an unfortunate.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, let's
consequence
not
there.
feel all.
Well,
look,
he's going to make 38 million.
He
This
only
year. Yeah,
made
that's
38.
not-
Yeah, it's like,
right.
come on.
So,
I mean,
but what I mean is
people are like, oh, we can't survive now. He's not going to make money. You made $38 million last year. You'll be okay.
Listen,
for at least the next 75
I agree
years.
no
with
one's
their-
saying that
so-
he's not financially okay. Obviously, he is.
But what we're talking about is
his ability to be able to market himself going forward. Like now, whoever signs him, be it the Cowboys or anyone else, they have to justify paying that kind of money.
You're
They
right.
weren't going to pay him anyway. They weren't going to pay him anyway.
$50 million in his contract. $50 million. I will never in my life, for 100 lifetimes,
No doubt,
see that
no
much
doubt.
money. He'll be
no doubt,
okay.
no doubt.
How about
You know,
this?
he'll be
Is that
okay.
if there was, I would feel worse for Dak Prescott if he played a different position.
yeah.
And what I mean by that
And-
is he's the greatest beneficiary of the franchise tag situation. Not that he he certainly did not make more money by signing the franchise tag than he would have had he signed a 5-year deal. I'm not saying that. But imagine if you were franchise tagged and you're a tight end.
Right,
and
exactly.
it's a $9 million and your career is over. That's a lot different than 30. He is at the best possible position. That left tackle.
Yeah.
It's not the worst scenario. So that's why I do feel like they're a little violinish about the
Kirk
Dak
Cousins
situation.
also did the same thing too. If they put
And he
another
made more
franchise
money
tag-
than anybody.
Yeah, and
This
so
mug.
essentially they might do the same thing with Dak, and he's going to be in a position to make oodles and oodles of money.
Yeah.
But
That's why
I
people
mean, either
talk
way, it
trash
does-
about. Yeah, go ahead.
either way, it does suck for him, man. You know, you
It
don't
does.
want-
It does.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
don't get me
yeah.
wrong. He could have made a ton more money, but people talk.
How about
trash
this?
About the
Here's
franchise
a-
tag. Sorry, good.
Here's an edgy question for you on Dak. Is what's worse towards his long-term financial security and success? Learning that he suffered from depression, suffered real depression, or the broken ankle?
Just
The
based on the
bro-
pain and from what I saw, the broken ankle, dude.
No,
I
if
couldn't
you are
imagine going through that.
if
Oh
you're
my
the
gosh.
owner,
Oh, okay.
if you are somebody that was gonna go sign, and I'm not saying that we should,
Go after him, yeah.
or even
Right.
that we should we need to be I'm not trying to be down on people that have mental illness. I mean, because I have mental illness. I'm fucking fucked up in the head. But aren't we all? My point is that once it comes out that you have, not that you have, but that you are, whatever it is, once it becomes part of the lexicon and the narrative of your name, isn't that just as bad as having a torn Achilles?
I feel
in
like
some
during
way?
any other time, I feel like during any other time in any other year, maybe. But because shit is so
was
backwards
COVID,
in this
okay.
world, and everybody's I feel like if you haven't felt depressed in this year at some point, whoa, man, you must have a crazy.
Was
good life,
it just
because
that
I
he
don't
was
know
depressed,
how
or was it
you-
clinical depression?
Well, I don't know. And see, to
I
me,
don't
the
know
line-
either.
the
I shouldn't be
line-
talking on it because I don't know enough.
Well, but even if it was clinical depression, in my mind, I think he just had the balls to say what a lot of people probably want to, but just don't, because
Yeah,
what
it's
you just
great.
said-
Yeah, that's a
and
great
for-
thing.
And for better or worse, what you just said is true. I think that's why a lot of people don't ever want to admit that they're depressed,
Right.
because it's that mindset oh, you sad pussy, turn that frown
Right.
upside down and quit.
Well,
bitching
it's
about
yeah.
it.
And
You
it's
got
just in a-
$38
in a
million.
locker room.
There's all of these
Can-
things. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Can I say too that Dak Prescott, while I do feel bad he could have made money, I feel horrible for the injury he had. It sucks, man. I hate to see a player happen like that.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to feel sad for him with money because he turned down a good bit of money because he bet on himself. And here's the thing: if you want to bet on yourself, that's fine. More power to you. And if you feel like you can do it, that's awesome. And if it works out, that's awesome too. He bet on himself and he lost. Period.
The problem
I
have with it is I don't think anybody feels sorry for him for all of that. A lot of people are saying like, oh well, he was holding out. This is exactly why people hold out. And I'm like, I think the reason that he held out was he wanted more money, right? That's really the bottom line.
That's what I'm saying.
Right?
So making $2 million more a year was more important to him than making the next $70 million he would have made had he just signed the damn contract.
Like, this is a prime example. You can make that argument both ways. Is like, this is why this injury, the guaranteed money, this is why he was going for this. And I'm like, my thoughts on the matter are
he got offered a good deal.
If he would have taken the offer, he wouldn't have to worry about it.
Exactly.
Yeah, but also
he'd be making $75-80 million over the next 4 years. Easy.
I promise I hear you, and I'm not even disagreeing with you. But the flip side of that, the devil's advocate of that, is if I'm Dak Prescott, why shouldn't I be like every other quarterback?
Because you're not producing like Cam say that. Because you're 8-8 every year. That's why.
It doesn't matter. The precedent is that now whenever a guy signs, whoever the most recent guy to sign is, they're paid the most money. So by the way, hold on. Like, I understand what you're saying, but we're talking about, is Dak Prescott a whole lot better or worse than guys that got paid like Derek Carr, Matthew Stafford, Jimmy Garoppolo? Like, you can make you can make the case that a bunch of other quarterbacks that are at the same level or maybe even worse than that, they got blockbuster contracts when it was their time to get paid. And Dak plays for one of the most popular teams in all
the most.
And one other element to add to Cody's point, which is that saying he could have taken the contract is true, but at the same time he couldn't enter free agency. That's the thing, is they almost need to make it like this, is that, and I don't know, I haven't studied the rules, I'm spitballing off the top of my head, but the problem is Dak doesn't feel like he could get what he could get. Like, yes, what Dallas has given him is going to be significant, and he could sign it, and he could not take the risk, but he also doesn't have the option of just entering free agency because of the cap. Right. I almost wonder if they should do something like this, is that you get the salary. It's like a restricted free agent. The salary cap is like, if a team wants to come in and give you a multi-year deal above the salary cap, the Dallas Cowboys have to match it or not. Or they could give them the franchise tag if nobody wants to do it. That's the problem, I think, for these guys, is that they don't really get the free market opportunity.
Yeah.
And there's all of these things that are elongating it before they truly hit the capitalistic world. And by that point, they've missed the boat. So that's the kind of the caveat, though, is that the franchise tag keeps them a year away. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It lets you, it stops you from getting paid your actual worth.
Yeah.
And by the way, that's why players hate playing under it too, because of this scenario. Yeah, you get paid a lot, but if you get hurt bad this year, that tremendously decreases your chance of getting paid again somewhere else.
The only good thing about the franchise tag is that when you give it, that they have to average it with some top-ass players. Like, the only beneficial thing you could say about the salary cap from a player standpoint, it's not even from a player. It's kind of like if something bad happened to you, like it could have been worse. Like, the only thing that keeps it from being worse is that it's actually average with the top players. Imagine if it wasn't as friendly. Say they averaged it with like the top 10 players of the position.
Right.
Instead of the top 3 or 4, or whatever the rules are. So, interesting discussion. Let's keep pushing through with these calls, though.
C3, what's good? This is Blake B.
What's up, Blake B?
Did you know a panther is actually a jaguar or a leopard?
I did learn this, and it's actually disappointing.
Let me throw out a hypothetical here.
Disappointing.
Let's look at
2017,
2018, 2019 Panthers offensive line. I don't know if this has been discussed on the listen every let's put behind that offensive line. Yeah. If my aunt was my uncle, nuts. Yeah, I got it. But let's look at it. We'd be talking about Teddy a whole new way if we were seeing him under a different offensive line.
True.
I mean,
good point.
I think Teddy is a tier above Kyle Allen. Let's not make a mistake there.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, I think he is too. But he's going to produce.
If we're seeing that Teddy's a read and a half quarterback looking for Robbie behind this offensive line where he has no time, I mean, I'm pulling for the guy. And it's great we have an offensive line. It's making our offense look good. But I do think most of the work is coming from the yak, the yards after the catch.
Right.
But now for my fantasy. I know it's gone and I'm moving on, but this is my fantasy. Cam Newton behind this offensive line. We've seen what he can do with a good offensive line at the Patriots in the first couple weeks.
And they're not even
out
the best
in Foxborough.
And Matt Rhule.
But man, can you imagine what he could feast on with a good offensive line?
Good call here.
And we had him.
All right,
okay,
so
keep pounding.
I like this call a lot because one is that if we're going to say this, and not we're going to say, but even Matt Rhule, the head coach, says, he was asked, what do you think is the thing? He asked, Matt Rhule is so good in the press conferences. And he said, they asked him on the Monday press conference yesterday was, what is, if you could say one thing that's happened that's kind of been part of this turnaround, what would it be? And he said, it's not one thing. He said, it's not one play. And then he gives this great, some people call it coach speak, but it's actually just true speak. He's like, it's when a special teams guy makes a good block, or we get a punt inside the 8, or we have good protection on a field goal. It's all these, it's like, and he's just like, it's the team. And so Teddy's success is also built upon the team. If you want to apply that kind of perspective, which I think we should, the Panthers offensive line may not be great at this point, but it is more competent than we've seen in a long time. And that has to be part of the success of this team. I don't even have to say Teddy Bridgewater, but the team itself. Look, 2 weeks in a row, the Panthers offensive line is not allowed a sack. I saw Joe Person say that's the first time that happened since 2011 in Cam's rookie year. And if anything, is that I do think we should remember this, is that one of the reasons that a lot of organizations and people over the last decade, Cam being one of the poster childs of this, have valued and coveted a mobile quarterback is because when you have an immobile quarterback, even if he's fantastic, his success is often predicated on the strength of the offensive line. And I think that applies to Teddy a little bit, and kudos to this Panthers offensive line.
Yeah, really kudos to this Panthers offensive line. And listen, man, I mean, you have to understand, I'm walking the fine line on the podcast here because, the minute you start,
they hate you. You were a man of the people, and now you're the most hated.
Yeah, I mean, the minute you start talking about anyone other than Teddy Bridgewater being the Panthers quarterback, oh, you're a shit fan, fair weather, blah blah, all this stuff, man. But it's a really, that's why this season, even still for me, being honestly, it's just a real tough pill to swallow, because it's like, of course it happens. Of course it happens after Cam Newton leaves. Our offensive line starts to ball out. Robbie Anderson's here. We have the wonderkin offensive coordinator that we always wanted for Cam. We have the entire setup that we always wanted Cam Newton to thrive in, and then they ditch him for Teddy Bridgewater.
Or we're close to it. We're not even there yet. We still need more, but we're close to what we envisioned.
And Panther fans have to understand, listen, if us Cam Newton supporters have to do a better job of being Panther fans during this new era of Panthers football, then you Panther fans also have to be accommodating towards us that are still getting used to this, man. Because I'm telling you, like, I love professional football right now because of Cam Newton. So for someone like me to just go from having him for almost a decade to not, like, it really hurts, man. It's a legitimate hurt, and it sucks. So it's like while people are still getting rid of this or getting used to this Teddy Bridgewater era, you know, hey, take it us on us that is still coming around to this new stuff, man.
Sean Presley.
Here.
Sean Presley in the chat room says Cam is gone. Let it go. Hate to see y'all after a breakup. I will say this, Sean, is I have to take medicine for this. Like, I did not believe this. I went to the doctor, and I'll open up a little and I don't take much. It's like a little half pill of Zoloft. They don't do shit. So I go to the doctor years ago, and I'm like, man, I can't sleep. I'm fucking got anxiety issues. Yeah, like I'm just wound tight. I'm Italian. My mom's wound tight. Like, we're just stressed out all the time. Worry. Got to do more. So he goes, all right. He said, let me ask you some questions. And he said, have you ever left your house and turned around when you're down the road thinking you left the coffee pot on? I was like, hell yeah, I do that like 3 times a week, homie. Like, he goes, oh, you got obsessive compulsive and I was like, what do you mean I'm obsessive compulsive? Like, have you seen my desk at work? And no. He said, you're not compulsive. You just got the obsessive part. So yeah, we're obsessing a little over Cam. Right?
But
and the other thing is that Cam, everybody
obsessed.
says Cam wasn't an accurate quarterback. And I always said this, with Cam, with time is good. You know, like, so, I mean, like, look, because I'm happy about this offensive line. I'm happy about the way Teddy Bridgewater is playing for a certain degree. I do see real limitations. We cannot push the ball downfield. You go find the plays. Everybody's like, oh, he throws deep. But no, he don't throw deep. He can't throw deep.
He does.
He can't. He can't.
He's good for like 1 or 2 a game. At the very
They're not
end,
really
like,
deep. If you tell me that Robbie Anderson one-handed catch, is that that's your example of a deep ball? Nope.
Yeah, you're right. It's not yeah,
that's barely a deep ball.
Yeah, that's not something that Teddy that Teddy possesses.
How about this? Again, is that Teddy, there was 2 plays, and y'all are gonna hate me, all the people that are like Teddy BD. How about this? Y'all said I was gay for Cam. Y'all gay for Teddy BD. But there's a couple of plays. Do you remember that one play where he had like the guy on the color commentary said he had all afternoon, and he threw the ball and got it batted down. Like, the ball literally went 3 feet. He had like 10 seconds, and the best we got was a 3-foot pass.
Yeah, I know. I know. Did you even see that? I put that on Twitter. Like, Teddy Bridgewater has all the time in the world to throw the ball. Like, they're giving him all the time, and there's still no deep passes. Like,
it just makes you wonder. How about this? Is y'all prove me wrong? But Teddy's got to prove me wrong. I won't say prove me wrong. He don't got to prove me wrong. Is that if you can't throw the ball deep, we better win with some underneath shit.
Well, and right now it's okay because we're winning. But once we get back to, I mean, I'm not saying it's going to happen, but if we start losing again and it's the same thing, we're going to be like, hey, we told you that this was a problem. So, you know, and by the way,
Joey the Blind Panther says this: how could I be gay for Teddy BD if I've never seen it?
Oh. Well, maybe in your imagination you could feel it. Imagine how great it must feel. But by the way, I do want to disagree with something. Yeah, how heavy. but Tony, I disagree with what even you said. I feel like now we don't even mention Cam Newton unless he's brought up. Like we just answered a cat call that was about Cam Newton and what he would do in this offense. Like, we didn't even bring it up. So
we are moving on. We're moving on. We've moved on. I can't move on more. I can't pull over anymore.
if you won't let us move on, how are we supposed to move on?
Right.
Oh, good point.
We're wrong, though. We're wrong. Yeah.
All right.
Oh,
Next call. Next call.
Hey, this is Kevin from Charleston, South Carolina. I just want to talk about the last game with the Falcons. I mean, I feel like we escaped that game.
Ooh.
I felt like we got lucky because if Julio Jones was in that game, Matt Ryan ain't throwing that interception in the end zone. He's just going to throw it up to Julio. He's going to jump up and he's going to get it over our low ass.
Wrong on one point. Julio don't catch touchdowns.
Excited about that.
All he does actually is
win.
catch touchdowns.
But,
Actually, no, you're wrong. I'm sorry. I'm wrong.
3-2, tied for first. Who knows what could happen?
I'll express something on this.
Go ahead. Yeah. Go ahead, Greg. Well, Greg, CK.
I mean, we had a lot of people missing as well. Christian McCaffrey. We lost Brian Burns. We lost Dante Jackson. Not that he would have been, covering Julio, and if you look at Julio stats all year, he's been mediocre at best. Like, he has not been a quality wide receiver in the NFL anymore. And I'm not saying he can't be. And I know he's been playing a little hobbled, but he is getting to an age now where you have to start kind of like looking. Is this a long-term? Is he going to be here much longer anyway? Which is why, is it official Quinn's being fired? Like, I know that they had talked about it was all but done.
Yeah, him and Dimitrov are going out the door.
But so nonetheless, now that this organization is clearly going to be in rebuild mode, especially this offseason, I think you have an opportunity where you're going to see Julio Jones possibly being traded before the deadline.
I think so too, man, and that's why I asked the guest last week about Julio being on the trade block if they go 0-5, 0-6. Can I comment on this caller real quick? I want to share something. Let's see if I can do this. I want to share a video, and if you think that the last game was from one thing, I can't do this anyway. Go back and look at the hook and ladder play from the Chargers that we beat them 21-16. Had that hook and ladder not been fumbled, we lose that game. That game was because that guy's 20 yards wide open. There is absolutely no way he gets tackled.
That was actually a game we probably had a better chance of, like that. Trey Boston made a great play on Keenan Allen. By the way, Keenan Allen did that same thing versus the Saints. In last night that pushed it, I think, to overtime. All right, my points on this is I don't like to, like Cody said, if she would be my uncle, right? Is that ultimately we can only play the people on our schedule, and we play them on the Sunday, and it's that Sunday our best 53 versus your best 53. So is that I don't like to – I mean, yes, is that if you lose Aaron Rodgers and you play a team and you got backup or something, like that's a big deal. Losing Julio is a big deal, but us losing Christian McCaffrey is ultimately we hadn't beat Atlanta since 2017, hadn't beat them in Atlanta since 2014. They were all playing for their jobs, including Matt Ryan. So Julio is a notorious Panther predator. Right? I mean, he has been the bane of our existence to the degree of Mike Vick was when he was an Atlanta Falcon. But really, and that's why I don't want to that's why I'm not going to even go like, hey, the strength of schedule. And some people will say, look, if you look at the teams that we've won, the Chargers are 1-4, the Cardinals are 3-2 themselves, maybe. Then, is that like we're playing teams that aren't good? You know what? No, they're all like we can only play the teams we play, and we got to play them, and we got to win those games. And the whole idea about strength of schedule, easiest schedule, we've seen from the way the NFL landscape is, that is somewhat of the case, but the teams from last year are not the teams that were this year. So, look, as the Panthers have to worry about themselves, this is where I asked them to channel their Ron Rivera mentality is like you don't play up or down to your competition. You play to the best of your ability. And the Panthers really have been better than expected and playing better from week to week. That's my opinion on that. 252-228-5098.
Look at that shit, boys. I'm freaking rambling on, man. Just like my
This
my
Supreme
homie.
Leader.
Damn, I
Yeah,
forgot
the
his
second
name.
half.
Part
My homie
2 of
be
his
doing
call.
2 calls every podcast. But yeah, it's just I did not see us sitting at 3-2 at this point in the season. I don't know if anybody else saw
Segue to
that
this
either.
call.
I'm pretty sure nobody saw that because they had us, at the bottom of the pack. So, here, do this again. Close your eyes. All right, close your eyes. Take a big poop on the ground. All right. Now open your eyes. Go find those people who said we was going to be at the bottom of the pack this year. Take their face and smear it all around in that poop. Okay? Okay?
Careful, that's my
I'm
face.
proud, boy.
I know.
Tell me what you think about this. Here's a question for you. Do you think
Touching you,
wise
feeling
fire your coach
poo.
this early in the season? Me personally, I think you can just have them wait it out. I think they could have waited. Just let them play it out, man. I mean, what's the worst that could happen? I don't know. Tell me your thoughts about that. Keep counting. Panther pride till I die.
Mike Davis delivered the pink slip, bro.
I tell you what the worst thing would be about them keeping Quinn for the remainder of the year is exactly what happened last year. He goes on a run, and now they can't fire him because, they're on a 7-game win streak. Maybe he's finally got it together. And then again, the next year it happens again. And so now, I think right now, and it's similar to the Panthers firing Ron Rivera after week 9 or 10 or something, whatever it was.
Was it later than it was later than that?
Was it?
I
remember it was after the
like
Redskins
12.
game. I just didn't remember.
Yeah.
Is give them an opportunity to kind of get number
Ahead.
one, their ducks in a row, get ahead, be able to actually look. I mean, because if you have Dan Quinn, I mean, yeah, you can have him in there, but I don't know. I feel like your focus is taken more off of who could be replacing him as opposed to, now all of a sudden you have to answer questions. Why is Dan Quinn not fired? Why is this not happening? Or even once more than that is who's going to want to come to your organization and look, right? Or maybe you have somebody that's going to come in the interim and actually succeed for the remainder of this year. And maybe now you have a head coach. You don't even have to go and rebuild. You can just kind of just put in the key pieces that you need.
Can I put this out there that I think brings it back to the Panthers in a relevant way? Yeah. And I even mentioned this before the start of the season. I posed the question to you guys. If we had a good season this year, would people already be calling for Joe Brady to be a head coach somewhere? I'm already seeing people like, Joe Brady to Houston, to Atlanta, to this, to
he is too green for that.
That's what I'm
too
saying.
green for that.
Like me and Homeboy are the same age, and also if you look, he's always in the booth. He doesn't ever coach from the field. Like I just think that before you start naming somebody a head coach, like that, I would want to see him like have a few seasons of success here in Carolina, and ideally with more than one quarterback also.
Yeah. I mean, it'd be one thing too if a college came up to him, like,
our head coach.
Yeah.
But I mean, would you want to do that?
Yeah, exactly.
You think?
No, I mean, I don't know if you want to do that. In some ways, you might make more money, depending on the school. I don't know. That's a good question. Right. What do you want to do, and how do you want to work your way up? But I know that Matt Rhule and them, they're kind of like, he's not going to fire Joe Brady anytime soon.
Yeah. No. That's what I'm saying.
So, like, leaving is a risk to go to a place like. First, going to college is a risk on that front, is that 3 years in and you're not recruiting right. There's all these other forces and you're jobless, right? And then on the other hand, going to another team, there's no way. I would be very concerned if I was a football, like a Houston fan, and that's the guy we hired, despite his upside.
Yeah.
Because being a head coach is a managerial thing. And to be honest, Adam Gase is I won't even say a great example of this. Adam Gase is a fucking fraud on all of those things. But he actually had head coaching experience.
And it's one thing to be able to cook up plays, but it's another thing to be able to be a leader in a locker room.
Yeah.
And be able to manage a
100%
football team. And we have no idea. But judge on everything I've seen from Brady, and again, you don't have to be a rah-rah, loud, shish-boom-bah guy to be a coach, but he does seem very soft-spoken. He's kind of like a book nerd, which, hey, more power to him. He's a smart as hell book nerd.
Isn't our coach very soft-spoken?
No, I would. But you would say Matt
preacher-ish. Nah, he's like a preacher.
That's not soft.
I haven't seen him get aggressive.
Matt Rhule has a lot to say.
Okay. Well, look, Ed, there was one comment in the chat I wanted to bring up that I thought was hilarious, and it's very true. It's from Run DMC Lovato. He says, "Who else is praying the Falcons hire Jeff Fisher or Adam Gase next year?"
Yeah, exactly. That's a good. And I want to keep powering through with the calls, but a question to you guys, real quick: what's the job? What's the top job right now? It's Houston, Atlanta. Go ahead and throw in the Jets there. And
maybe the Giants.
They're gonna stick with Joe. They're gonna stick with Joe Judge.
How do we know that?
More than 1 year.
How long do we don't know that? Maybe.
I mean, they gave Ben McAdoo or whatever his name was
a couple of years, a few years. Yeah. Would you really want Carolina to turn away from Rhule after 1 year? I mean, they're not going to do that when hiring a big coach from college after 1 year. Turn away from him.
I'm trying to think of where else. There's going to be some other. There's got to be some others. Oh, Detroit. What's the top position?
Hey, by the way.
I'll actually show you I'll bring up the draft order thing.
So a lot of people are like, you want to say, why would he spend Joe Brady spend one season here? And I think it's going to be more about whether somebody's going to be willing to hire him than anything. But you got to remember, he spent 1 year in the Saints. Then he got an upgrade to the LSU Tigers. And then he spent 1 year with the Tigers, and he got an upgrade to the offensive coordinator in the NFL. And
so next year he'll be the coach of the Patriots.
Well, the difference there is when you get an upgrade from the Saints to the LSU Tigers, you're probably not having to worry about moving to a different state.
Yeah, but I mean, at the same time, you're moving still.
Different city.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Why can't you be in the same city?
Versus New Orleans?
But if you're being paid like a football coach, you're rich as shit and can afford that. You can have your own little slice of wherever the hell you want to be, and plop it right down wherever they hired you.
And nobody's
going to make Joe Brady a head coach next year. If anybody makes Joe Brady a head coach next year, that is going to be the most serious endorsement.
Eric Bieniemy better make head coach for Joe Brady.
Eric
Bieniemy
I actually think I think Greg Roman deserves to be a head coach too.
Greg Roman does too. I'll give both those guys, but Eric Bieniemy and Greg Roman need to be head coaches. Period. Point blank.
And I think Brian Dable, the offensive coordinator for the Bills.
Ooh, yeah. One other thing is got to go to the next call. But remember we were talking about Coach of the Year? In the post game, we were talking about it was Matt Rhule in one hand, McDermott in the other. Stefanski making a bid for it right now, right? 4 in a row.
Yeah, Browns are 3-1, 4-1.
4-1.
Have they won very well? I mean, I know it's winning.
It doesn't matter, man. They're the Browns. They have not won 4-1. They haven't won.
Yeah.
They haven't been 4-1 since 1980, like 2 or something. Like
they're one of the toughest power running football teams that there is. Right?
And Chubb's hurt.
Kareem Hunt, Chubb.
But Chubb's hurt. He's not as much. Anyway,
Kareem Hunt is
point.
a real deal running back.
Yeah, how terrible is your option when your backup is Kareem Hunt?
And seriously. Kareem elbowed that girl. I still would say this is I am not in favor of domestic violence. First, I do think we use the term a little loosely. Yeah. Is that they called it domestic violence, and Kareem Hunt didn't even know that girl, so it's like it's just actual violence at that point. Like I think
I'd say it's still violence. I was gonna say make sure
it's violence. It's just not domestic. Like it's not your girlfriend, it's not your wife, and this and that. And ultimately, I think this is that. Like I do think there's kind of levels of stuff, and I'm not trying to defend and this and that, but. Like, if you saw that thing, it's like a drunken thing. It's like the girl fell down. Like, it wasn't even that. I mean, it wasn't good, but it wasn't bad. It wasn't the worst. It wasn't like Ray Rice jacking at his own fiance.
Well,
and that screwed Kareem
I mean,
Hunt. Actually, I think
apparently
he stepped on her.
Apparently, she was calling him the N-word.
Yeah, she was
not,
all
like
busting on his ass. Look, my wife has gotten
yeah.
all up on me and hit and I mean, like, it's not like I'm charging my wife, but I'm not I literally cannot do anything. You have to sit there.
Yeah, it's because you're not Kareem Hunt. That's the thing. If you're
Kareem
Hunt,
even I can't even do it if I was Kareem Hunt or me. But my point is like Kareem Hunt he was kind of like a sacrificial lamb in the moment, a little bit. But the fact is, and then he was smoking weed and all that. Anyway.
Well, and they lied. He lied about it apparently not ever happening. They asked him about it. It was like, oh, nothing happened. I promise. And then the video came out later.
But that's what you do. I mean, we've all been not that, but like that's you always lie until you can't. That's my advice. All right.
Look at that.
I love it.
Freaking rambling on, man.
Yeah, next call. Always lie until you can't. And keep lying, man.
So,
wait, who's that? I'm not sure who this is.
This is Nick.
We're comparing Kyle Allen,
Nick from Mass,
Teddy Bridgewater. Okay, now before I even say anything, all right, we never should have let Cam go. If Cam was here right now, we would be either undefeated or damn close to being undefeated. Okay, and you know, I'd like to see how that would have turned out. I feel like it would have turned out pretty good. But going back to the task at hand, in no way is Kyle Allen a better quarterback than Teddy Bridgewater. No way. No way whatsoever. Okay? Yes, Teddy Bridgewater had that injury with a non-contact play. I get that. Okay? But now, we've seen Kyle Allen start.
You got to deal with this, and he's right.
Three
so
times.
I got to use it.
Okay, for two different teams. Okay? Twice for us. Once for the Washington football team, because they couldn't come up with a damn name. Okay? The very first game he played for us, he was injured. He got injured. Me and Josh were at that game. Okay? Now, granted, if I remember correctly, I thought he played better than Taylor Heineke in that game. I'm not entirely sure. I honestly forget. It's been a year and a half. Okay? But then, the very first day he goes out for Washington, and he gets injured again. The dude is basically the definition of injury prone. On top of that, I'm pretty sure we gave him the nickname last year, Sir Fumbles a lot. Or if we didn't, we probably should have. Because I feel like it was at least once a week. He fumbled the football when he was sacked. Look, yes, the last two games, Teddy Bridgewater did not get a single sack. So, yeah, it kind of makes it harder for that argument. Okay? The O-line definitely seems like it's better than it was any of the last 9 years, I think the stats have said.
Which plays
but
into that.
In no way, shape, or form is Kyle Allen better than Teddy Bridgewater. You know,
Agreed.
And I'm not a huge Teddy Bridgewater fan by any means. But I feel like he shows a lot more promise than Kyle Allen ever will.
I agree.
And I hope Kyle Allen comes back and he's the quarterback whenever we play them, because I want Brian Burns to get 3 sacks in a game. It would make my goddamn day. Keep pounding, guys.
Okay, let me take this one first, okay? Because I want to point out there first that I don't believe that Kyle Allen is a better quarterback than Teddy Bridgewater, but we're also talking about the difference between
said it like 4 times.
Hold on, no, well, hold on though. The difference in drop off between the quarterbacks, okay? By the end of 13 games, we're going to keep track of this, okay? 13 games, Kyle Allen was 5-7, had 3,588 yards, 19 touchdowns, 16 interceptions. I'm not going to have this conversation till after 13 games. And in 13 games, if Teddy Bridgewater has more than 5 wins, has more than 19 touchdowns and less than 16 interceptions, and more passing yards than Kyle Allen did with a better offensive line and better wide receiving core, then I will talk about how, okay, I was wrong about that. But I am willing to bet you that week 13, we're going to be looking at about 6 wins, which is 1 win more, very close to the same amount of yards, On this route, probably less touchdowns. On this route, probably close to the same amount of interceptions. Like, it's going to be very close. It's going to be almost the exact same. So while I think Teddy Bridgewater is a better quarterback, I don't think the results are going to be different. I don't think he is that much better of a quarterback that makes this team, puts this team to the next level or puts them over the edge. We're going to have a better quarterback that has very, very close to the same statistical stats. Kyle Allen. I get that. Let's let Teddy Bridgewater lose 4 or 5 games in a row, and we'll see what happens then. Now, if that happens, if it doesn't happen, excuse me, I'll eat that. I have no problem eating that. That's awesome. I'll eat that, and I'll be proud. You know why? Because the Panthers are doing well. But I just don't see Teddy Bridgewater, based on what he's doing now and what Kyle Allen did last year, as being that much better of a quarterback than Kyle Allen was. It's going to be very, very close.
Oh, I gotta disagree with that, but I understand.
We'll
I do think there's a point there. Is there's a difference between just straight heads to head. I think that's the way I'm looking at it, and you're saying this is in like the kind of context of kind of like a running back. You know what I'm saying? Like, what's the difference between Christian McCaffrey and Mike Davis? Ultimately. Right. But I will say this is that if you want to have your perspective ruined, just go look up that sack he took from Washington last year where he went back like 70 yards. Like, that'll tell you that homeboy is not doing well.
Right. And like I said, I don't want to compare his stats this year. I want to compare him with Panthers.
No, I just Joey said he's going to bed, so he wants to hear his call. So I think we can make that happen.
Yeah, we got to keep going, man. We got to go. Hold on. All right, look, he's way down the list too.
For you, Joey.
Hey guys,
this is your call.
Joey. So you want to talk about what we did to the Falcons? Akon wrote a song about that. It featured Eminem. It was called "Smack That." You smacked out on the floor.
All on the
floor until they got real sore. So sore, Dan Quinn lost his job. And now, guess what happens this week? Not Rodney. I don't know why I say that. I need a freaking beer. But Robbie Anderson gets to see the difference between a bear and a panther. Since, he didn't know.
But Joey doesn't.
He sounds quite typical for Charlotte with all these freaking transplants. Anyway, most of them know the difference between a bear and a damn panther, but that's beside the point because he's an amazing receiver. But if he was just a salad boy, I had to throw him on the wall, like across the wall on the Mint Street for not knowing the difference between a bear and a panther if he was Devin Funchess. Anyway, guys, you know what the Bears like to do? They like to they literally like to keep teams from scoring 20 points. They don't have offense. I don't think they know that exists.
They are the Panthers of 2013.
But they'd rather keep you from scoring 20 points than score 20 themselves. So Joe Brady's going to have to score 20 points and make them have to do something that I really don't think they could do. I work with a Bears fan, so I know this. Anyway, guys. Wow.
I love his little, his just deep growl there before.
Right, before
It's the guttural. All right, let's keep. Good call, Joey. I like that. What's that bear doing? Getting beat by a panther, hopefully. 252. We have like 5 more. I'm trying.
What's up, guys?
I'm trying.
Couldn't make the post-game show, but I just want to say that we are 3-2 on the official win streak now. And I know that's a bad Falcons team that we beat, but that has not mattered in the past. The Atlanta Falcons have had our number for a while now.
Yeah.
And we went in and took care of business. And I know the second half wasn't as, pretty and flashy as the first half, man, but we got it done. Mike Davis is that man's a damn machine. Defense looked good. shut down Matt Rhule for the most part. I don't think he threw a touchdown. Our run defense though still needs to be worked on, but I don't think anybody at the beginning of the season had us winning 3 games in a row or 3 games at all.
I did.
If you did,
Greg did.
I didn't see it. And,
He had $10 on it.
The future is bright in the Carolinas. That's what I can say. The future is bright.
I agree.
Talk all the mess you want about Teddy, but Teddy's playing good. DJ Moore, I didn't even know he could run that fast, and I swear it didn't look like he was even trying on that.
He wasn't, man. Run. He hasn't been trying yet this season. He needs to be challenged.
And then out of nowhere, there was the end zone.
You guys know that he was the fastest runner in the NFL.
Chin is
really in the clock speed or whatever.
Yep.
Matt Rhule.
And he didn't look like he was trying.
Is the early candidate for head coach of the year. And for anybody saying that, you can't deny that the coaching staff is doing a good job. But if you're trying to play it down as, well, it's still early or blah, 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 just try to imagine what you think this team will be doing right now if we still have Ron Rivera. And not shit on Ron Rivera because I think he was a good coach. It's just a change of scenery was needed. But if we had Ron Rivera as a coach right now, just imagine what the season would look like. With all these rookies, you'd have old-ass people in and all this other bullshit. But, yeah, man, this team looks good, man. They got a lot of fight. They're coming together. And it's fun to watch. Anyways, guys, I'll catch you on the show. Keep pounding.
Yeah, man, thanks for the call. I think he's got a part 2, but tell us, Cody, about that, what you mentioned in the call. Cody. Your name is Cody, but you were saying he was the fastest runner in the NFL?
Yeah, he was the fastest this past week. He was no other. Now, I don't know if that accounts for tonight's game.
Right.
But as of this morning, he was the fastest ball carrier in the NFL this past week.
Like 22 miles an hour, probably, or something.
I didn't. I just got the notification. I didn't go and pull up the video.
right. All right, let's go to the next call.
Hey,
I think it's part 2.
I just wanted to add real quick about the coaching staff. A real test to me to see how creative and confident this coaching staff is. And, to me, they've shown nothing but amazing things. But when McCaffrey comes back, if they go back just to using McCaffrey, that's a negative. Like, now, if they come out and they want to put Mike Davis in the backfield and put CMC in the slot, that's a good thing. I think that could work.
I think that's a great thing.
Great.
Curtis Samuel still using him as an all-around tool that can do damn near anything on offense. Hell, let him throw the ball. I don't give a shit. But, yeah, that's going to be a test for me is when McCaffrey comes back, are they still going to work Mike Davis in there?
The problem is it's just hard.
I'm in love with the way he runs the ball. I don't think he should be the starter, but I also don't think we should be using number one running back. We now know we have a running back that can get the tough yards. Maybe at the 1, which we've had struggles with before. Put Mike Davis' big ass in there and let him knock a couple heads around and bust through there. Anyway, guys, keep coming.
I think the one thing it does is that, and I think it's difficult, though, is that we want all these mouths to be fed, right? But there can only really be one running back on the field unless you are running a 2-back set, and then you're putting Mike Davis out there maybe as a fullback. And I don't know the intricacies, like do you take a tight end off then, or you had 2 receivers, all of these different things. Like you add one player here, you got to take another one away there. So it's difficult at sometimes to find the proper rotation. Like kind of like in basketball, like how do you find the sweet spot of a rotation? I do think the one good thing about, or not the one good thing, but a good thing about Mike Davis's success now is that when Christian McCaffrey, it's kind of like this, is that if we put Reggie Bonifant in there and gave Christian McCaffrey a breather, it's like a 98% chance you're not going to run the ball. But
Right.
Mike Davis's success makes him a legitimate running threat. So just because McCaffrey's not in the backfield and Mike Davis does not mean that you're not running the ball. Right? I mean, so that I think that's the good thing. It's just how do you find that rotation? It's been hard for us to figure that out. And I think he kind of hit the nail on the head is that you're going to have to see Christian McCaffrey being used in some different ways. Mike Davis in the backfield. You got to wonder what that does to our man Curtis Samuel, who's been getting more opportunity. Let's keep going with the calls.
Hey, y'all. How y'all doing? My
it's
podcast
G.
brothers. How y'all doing?
What's up, G?
Cavassier? Hey, man.
Cavassier.
Hey, this Sunday we got them damn Bears, man. My main issue, if we can contain Khalil Mack, if we can contain him from coming over the edge or coming through the middle, I think we can get this game. I really do. Their
I agree. That's the guy you got to stop.
I give him that. And the quarterback that they have is a pretty good quarterback. I mean, he won a Super Bowl with the Eagles, and he was like a journeyman. He was on this team, that team, or whatever. He's a pretty decent quarterback. I really don't know that much about their offensive line, you know what I'm saying? But I think that Derek Brown and KK and Burns and YGM and Weatherly and anybody else can get through that line. Hopefully, that's if Brian Burns is clear from that concussion, because I heard he had a concussion or whatever. You know, and if KK, I know he got hurt too. So if them boys come back, I think our front four is going to put some pressure on the Bears. And before I go, man, I was looking on social media, I keep hearing about this, you know, Brady could be the new head coach of the Atlanta Falcons and everything like that. And people talking about what is Mike Davis's trade value. They're not going no damn where. Nowhere at all. If you guys think I'm bullshitting, look that shit up online. But neither one of them dudes is going anywhere, man, because they're always trying to dismantle the damn Panthers, man. But I see us win this game, man. I really do. 24-7 Panthers. All right, man. Always remember, y'all, keep
pounding, man.
You know, Cody, you brought this up. Is that is the Moton matchup, or like the Moton money maker is Khalil Mack. Unless Khalil Mack's going to go against Okung, why are you so positive that he's going to go against Moton? I guess not.
Well, I mean, apparently they're going to put him on both sides, but the reason why is because I saw Taylor Moton do really good against Joey Bosa this year. And Joey Bosa had a really good night last night against Ryan Ramczyk for the Saints. So
they actually moved Joey Bosa to the other side after Moton had given him problems.
But you know
what I'm saying? They were like, all right, now we got this, because I think Little was in, the left tackle, and you saw them move Bosa to the other side specifically because he wasn't getting home on that side.
Taylor Moton's a juggernaut, man. I can make the argument that he is more important. I mean, I'm gonna get flack for saying this, but he is more important, I think, than both of the guys that we signed this offseason. Just because you do so much.
I just worry about this, is that Moton's a big guy, and you just worry about is he fast enough on that kind of kick step back? You know what I'm saying? Like has he
been a problem thus far, you think?
No, I know. I think he's been our best lineman for a while, and going back to his rookie year in so many ways. So no, he hasn't been. The question is, at what point does that catch up with you in the league? Does it catch up? Maybe it doesn't. You know what I'm saying? Maybe it's technique, and at that point you can. I just know this: when I look at him, he is a little more big lumbering than a left tackle looking guy. Right. And he's not a left tackle; he's a right tackle. So, is the difference that big in the league as much anymore as it used to be? Like you said, they're moving these defensive ends from side to side. It's not like they're only gonna, So I think he's been great. I think he's been very good. I don't know. That's all I'm saying. And I'm not a technician. I don't know. I mean, that's just one thing. Is he looks like a bigger bodied guy, but that doesn't mean that you can't be good with good technique. All right, let's keep going.
Hey,
a couple more calls.
Quick,
2 more.
Tony, Before you go to the next call, I got to get out of here, man. It's 11:30. I got to be working in the morning.
right,
I appreciate y'all. Once again, at the bat at 8:52. Check me out. Quick ice up pick. Anybody who does not either A, donate, or B, at least share the link that I have for the charity that I'm going to. Not asking you to donate, at least share it. Let somebody know. So I'll put it out there. Y'all have a good night, man. I'm getting out of here.
All right, thanks, Greg, man. I mean, we're down to the short hairs here. Let me see. Is this G's
Go
call?
on, C2 Nation.
Nope, 2 calls
Jay
left. This
Anderson
one I'm
hitting
on.
y'all up.
Thanks, man, for your call, bro.
I'm looking at the rest of the
Thanks, Greg.
The divisions, the rest of the team division. I'm looking at, us, restarting, the whole team. Got a new coach. Wish they could buy the GM, but you got a new coach. New quarterback, Teddy Bridgewater. Even though he's here for 2 years, maybe 3, we don't know. Depends on how he played. I mean, looking at the other teams, you got Atlanta planning on starting over. Matt Ryan, he's getting old. Drew Brees, he already old, and he on this. I believe this is last year. Tom Brady, I don't think he's gonna be here for more than 2 years. So that leads to us to have like a head start. Do you believe the expectation is, there should be expectation for this, for Matt Rhule to win, say like the next 4 years to at least win 2 or 3 2 or 3 division titles, and actually, compete, for a conference championship in the next 2 years. Do you think the expectation is too high right now, or do you believe the expectation is real based on what you see the rest of the team in the division is going through? All right, man.
I'll let you take that, Cody.
Did it cut him off?
Nah, he's done.
Well, hang on. Which code are you talking about? CK or he's talking to me?
Well, I call him CK. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah,
Well,
you're good.
How about either one of you jerks take it? I don't care.
Take it, Cody.
Listen, man. I mean, I kind of feel like I don't know what's more to say about it. I don't really know what I feel like we have the potential to be a 9-7 football team, and I think I think that's generous, and I think that's probably what you're shooting for. And if that's enough to win and get into the playoffs, then hey, at least we get a chance. And I think that we have an opportunity to at least give ourselves the chance. He was talking about NFC Championship. Yeah, I just don't know. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and lie and say I see this as a championship football team. I don't.
I think this is, I mean, like, and you shouldn't this year. I mean, that's fine. I mean, like, if that happens, that's fantastic. But maybe they are. We'll see. But you do want to be in contention. The key is to be in contention for your division every year. And the good news is we're in contention for our division in year 1. So, like, in year 3 and 4 and 5, we should be, I think our expectations are to be in contention for the division, to make the playoffs, and to have a team. So, I think the good news is that if it's 3, like, whatever your magic number is that if it's 3 division, whatever the real number that you need to feel great about to be a success, is that if we somehow are in contention in the week 14, week 13 in this division, it's a win. Like, you're then playing with house money ahead, because we're ready to write this season off as just a rebuild. But no, like, it's been more than that, and that's good news. CK, you got any thoughts on that?
I mean, I think that pretty much covers what I was going to say about it. I mean, at this point in time, I think it's
he's got a long time. We don't even have to worry about it, right? I mean, he's got an 8-year contract. Like, at this point is like in some ways, the worst thing for Matt Rhule is for us to be a little too good this year.
Yeah.
Because then, like, next year, we're like, nope, no days off, homie. You won 7 games last year. I don't care what
100%.
your squad looks like. You better be getting 9 or 10. All right, last call of the night.
Hey, what's up, C3 Podcast? It's Run DMC Lovato. I got kind of a conspiracy.
What's up, Tyler?
And I want to run it by you guys and see what you guys think about it. You guys remember when it was the Raptors and the Golden State Warriors in the NBA championship? And before the series started, Greg Popovich of the Spurs went and ate dinner with Steve Kerr. And Steve Kerr said there was nothing they talked about game plan-wise about Kawhi or nothing like that. It was all just, they're just having dinner, which is, we all know is bullshit. I mean, he was obviously telling Steve Kerr how to beat Kawhi Leonard. But anyways, I feel like that same thing just happened tonight with the Buffalo Bills Tennessee Titans game. Buffalo was 4-0 and leading the AFC East division. So I feel like Bill Belichick calls up his old, player Mike Vrabel, and he's like, "Yo, let's tell you what to do to beat this team. We want to win this division, and also you guys want to win your division. It's a win-win for both of us." So I think they literally smashed the Bills. I have a feeling that Bill and Mike Vrabel might have, talked about this stuff for this game and helped each other in their rankings. What do you guys think about that? I know it's crazy, but I don't think it's that far off, honestly, because they smoked the damn Bills. But who knows? What do you guys think?
Tony, you take that one.
Help me out with this, is because I was trying to think of my ISO pick, but he was talking about the Titans smoking the Bills.
Yeah, the Titans put the dirt stomp on the Bills tonight.
I gotta almost listen to it again. Hold on. What did he say? Sorry, Tyler. It's not your fault. It's late.
Went and ate dinner with Steve Kerr, and Steve Kerr said there was nothing they talked about game plan-wise about Kawhi or nothing like that. It was all just, they're just having dinner, which is, we all know is bullshit. I mean, he was obviously telling Steve Kerr how to beat Kawhi Leonard. But anyways, I feel like that same thing just happened tonight with the Buffalo Bills Tennessee Titans game. Buffalo was 4-0 and leading the AFC East division. So I feel like Bill Belichick calls up his old, player Mike Vrabel, and he's like, "Yo, let's tell you what to do to beat this team, because we want to win this division, and also you guys want to win your division. It's a win-win for both of us." So I think they literally smashed the Bills. I have a feeling that Bill and Mike Vrabel might have, talked about this stuff for this game and helped each other.
Okay. All right. Maybe. I don't know. Right? I guess. Maybe. I would say this is the reason I would say no is I feel like Bill Belichick is still fucking infuriated by Mike Vrabel taking all of those delay a game false starts on purpose last year. Remember, they had the rule changed after it. I almost feel like Bill Belichick might be a person that, like, once you fuck with him, you're, like, dead to him. And on another adjacent note, I find I find Bill Belichick a very charismatic person who doesn't want to be charismatic, right? Like, it's like he's endearing because he's not. But these Subway commercials, I feel like he is going against his own image. Like, why is he making commercials, man? He's at the end. Bill Belichick's at the end. All right, that's my thoughts on it. All right. So maybe, and you know what? I wouldn't put it past this: is Bill Belichick always wins. So if there's any person that can put away a personal grudge for 8 seconds to get something out of it, it's gonna be Bill Belichick, and then grudge back on. I love Bill Belichick. He's actually one of my favorite people in the universe. And it comes back to one instance, is that he hates the media. And it's to a point where it's like a shtick. You know what I'm saying? And there was this one press conference I saw. I've mentioned it several times on this podcast. And he goes up to the podium, and all the reporters, you know how they run up there and put their little recording devices right in front And so they put him on this desk, this table. It was at a podium. It was a table. They put him like right in front of him, and he takes all of them and he pushes them back to like half of them fall on the floor. Like he's like, they're too close to me. It's like, it's just such a dick move and awesome at the same time. I love Bill Belichick for them. All right.
He represents hope for Cam Newton, so that's the only reason why.
You know, he always spoke highly of Cam. And I tell you this, going back just to that game, we don't want to talk about Cam. He's like the forbidden subject on this show. But you saw what happened when – you want to know why he was gushing about Cam Newton in that time? It's because he saw what Brian Hoyer and fucking Stidham look like. And Brian Hoyer is like the trashiest trash of trash. Like, that guy is terrible, man. He's better at growing hair than he is at football.
True that.
And he's bald. All right. I want to go ahead and put a plug out. I put up a little a little video. Is Curtis Samuel Mr. Clutch on YouTube? I want y'all's feedback about if I should continue to do stuff like this. I got a couple ideas about, just weekly, is Jeremy Chin the current defensive rookie of the year? Panthers salting away. I'd like to, if you guys like that little short content from the professor, please go ahead and let me know in the comments of the videos and some thumbs up. A little encouragement to kind of make it. If not, then I won't make them. But it's time to ice some fools up at this point. And I'll let you start, Cody, because you got a nice up pick.
Yeah, so really my ice up pick goes to woke white women. Because woke white women
is that a thing?
Woke white women ruin everything. So let me tell you guys about Julia DeCaro, who works for Deadspin. And this is the title of her article. Adam Schefter is a vacuous turd who embodies white male privilege. And she goes on to write a whole article about how Adam Schefter is just an immeasurable piece of shit. Because on October 13th, she put out a tweet saying 3 weeks from today is hugely significant with potential ramification for years to come. The NFL trade deadline. Now, obviously, the joke was, oh, you think he's talking about the election? Ha ha, he's talking about the NFL trade deadline. Well, she took this so personal that she wrote an entire fucking article about it, bitching about, oh, how dare you, all of the people who have been so devastated by Donald Trump. Like, it's the kind of crying that only makes people decide to not listen to you. And it makes it seem like you're just whining just to be a whiner, and like literally stop speaking for black people. Did black people say, hey, okay, Adam, we have a problem with what you're doing or how you're doing it? No. So really, she's the one being a racist piece of shit to all woke white women, and specifically to Julia DeCaro. Ice up. No one wants to hear you cry about pointless bullshit.
Ice up. And just a couple of points on that is she used to be part of Chicago radio. And I don't know how I found her. I'm like a Twitter follower of her, and I've been a long time ago. But she has always been in this embittered battle with male chauvinists, and the people are such assholes to her on Twitter. It's like crazy, but she fights back, and you know what I'm saying? I find it a little ironic from the woke person that you're writing from Deadspin.
Yeah,
personally,
right.
Like, there's some irony in there. I mean, I guess you got to pay the bills, but she likes to take that line of questioning, and so. Is a vacuous? How do you say that? Is a vacuous?
Yeah,
vacuous
I was
turd
that
that
too.
embodies white. And you know what is I told people, I told liberals, and I'm a center left kind of person, right? It's like I'm Catholic and this and like this. I'm like so I'm conservative, but I don't need you to be Catholic. My whole point is this: is that I told liberals to be careful of being overly critical about little shit when it came to Donald Trump, because I saw what it did. The Republicans pushed me away when it came to the Republican Party because of the way they were such whiny bitches about Obama. And I probably shouldn't say whiny bitches in this context, as she would call me a vacuous turd, white privilege. But my whole point is this, is like it starts to become a little cry wolf. And when there is real shit, which there is real shit in this world to get fucking pissed about, but people are fatigued by that point and they don't believe any of it.
Right.
Or they don't give a fuck. Actually, it's not that they don't even believe it. They just don't care anymore.
Right. You are actually, all these people that get super offended about things in the news and wanting to cancel people, you are actually hurting the causes that you claim to be fighting for. Because what you just said, people are getting so burnt out on hearing people and they take these things and blow them out of proportion, and they whine and cry. And then what ends up happening is potential allies that you might have had, they're like, oh, no, those are just those whiny losers that complain about nonsense. So
it wasn't Adam Schefter that just got suspended by the NFL, was it? Was that Ian Rappaport?
No, this is the Adam Schefter. Was
it Ian Rappaport that had the 2 weeks? Did you guys hear about that?
It's
because he posted a Manscaped an ad. He posted an ad that wasn't, on his social media. His social media is technically owned by the NFL, so they don't have a deal with. This is why he got a 2-week suspension. It was either Ian Rappaport or Adam Schefter, one of the two. So it's just interesting.
It might have been Rappaport, because I did hear someone talking about it, but I didn't catch the whole story.
Yeah.
All right, CK, you got ice up? No.
That's
okay. My ice up pick is going to actually go to Tom Brady. And look, first I want to go ahead and point this out to brother Herbert. Just because you say something over and over and over again does not make it true. So you can keep saying that Tom Brady has never thrown deep as many times as you want. But I just sent you a video today, by the way, where he had like 32 50-plus touchdown passes in his career. He's got more 50-yard touchdown passes, maybe even 60-yard touchdown passes than Teddy has his entire career. So,
touchdown passes, period.
Right. Yes, as touchdown passes, just 60-plus. It's crazy. Like when you watch, sorry, I digress. Ice up pick goes to Tom Brady, as you fucking be your entitled, whiny self, which is, actually something that shows you how success can affect you. Is Tom Brady used to be in so many ways like the most humble team dude, and then became the dude, and that's fine. He is the GOAT. In my opinion, he's the greatest. He might not be the greatest as in, like you could say, well, Peyton Manning was this, Dan Marino was this. That must got the rings. He's got he's got a lot of stuff in his resume, but he bitches and complains and yells and screams at people when they make mistakes on their team. But when Tom Brady forgets that it's fourth down and thinks it's third down, makes a mistake, I don't even have a problem with him yelling at his teammates and being like that. The problem is that you saw him shaking his head on the sideline going, I can't believe I did that. And then the press conference, he did not admit to doing it. Like, at this point, just say, look, I'm the GOAT. I made the first mistake of my career. But instead, you're like, nah, it was just, I thought we had a chunk play. I needed a chunk. Thought it was a chunk. Fourth and a chunk. Like, he just said chunk 7 times in a row. and like that actually changed anything. So Tom Brady, when you're the GOAT and you got like, it's kind of like when you're a Teddy BD, like, you mean, like, just admit, like you didn't do what you had to do, but I still got the big D. Like, it's not a big deal, you know, just say you made a mistake. So Tom Brady, ISO. All right. That's the C3 Panthers podcast, brought to you by CarolinaCatChronicles.com. You can follow me on Twitter at @cat_Chronicles. I've been starting to put a little bit more back on the website. Check out the latest video is Curtis Samuel, Mr. Clutch. I'm going to have some more stuff coming out on Wednesday this week. We'll have 2 scouting the opponents. I got 2 interviews lined up, one with a former Bears offensive lineman, and as well as my guys from the Chicago Audible podcast tomorrow, and picking with the professor. Cody Lashney, where can they find you on Twitter and your work?
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at CodyLac, CodyLac. Hit me up. Every 2 weeks, there is a brand new mock draft on drafttat.com with comments for the Carolina Panthers written by yours truly, and Saturdays at 4, the Cripple Connection podcast with me and my friend Jeffrey talking video games. And that's about it.
Aaron Scott says, ice up Josh Norman. That was a good one there. And CK, where can they find you on the intrawebs?
You find me everywhere, man. I'm all over the place. I'm on Facebook gaming, streaming most nights. You can find me on Twitter at CoDizzleAllen, Instagram at CoDizzleAllen, Twitch at CoDizzleAllen. Yeah.
Can I ask you a question, CoDizzleAllen?
What up?
Well, is it wrong for me to mention that phasmophobia game to my 12-year-old, or is it like something that he could play?
I mean, he could play it, but he's
would I be a bad parent?
No,
I don't know anything about it. I just saw you guys playing. I was watching you guys play, and all you did was run up to this whiteboard like 7 or 8 times, and then threw a crucifix in the middle of the hallway, and that was it. I kept fast forwarding, trying to find where all the bad crap and scary stuff. That was it. You're just walking around with flashlights.
There's definitely some scary shit that happens, bro. You gotta. That whole thing is like, it's like, I don't know if you ever watch Paranormal Activity, but it reminds you a lot of like Paranormal Activity with the sound. And everything that goes on. Like,
is there really like crazy cursing and killing to the point that it wouldn't be cool for a 12-year-old, or is it just kind of scary?
It's scary. The cursing only comes from the people playing it. So,
okay.
You know, I scream and like motherfucker whenever I have that happen.
Right.
So, but yeah, no, that's it's definitely worth a check out. Like, if you're interested in that, I think it's only something they could play on PC right now, though. I don't even know.
Oh, right. Is it free on PC?
It's like $13.
Oh, never mind. We ain't playing. All right. That's C3 Panthers podcast. We'll catch y'all folks later. Thanks for your